Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Tuesday, April 29th, right here on Jocks 94.5. No Greg today, back in tomorrow. I am glad to be back, not fully recovered from what was potentially the worst travel weekend in my history. Not sure of anybody else's, but it was rough. It was not fun, not enjoyable, but we're back. We're here. We'll talk NFL draft today. We'll talk Buc-ee's today. We will talk transfer portal today. There's a lot going on with all three of those, mainly the transfer portal in the NFL draft. And the NFL draft, obviously, topic of conversation turned into Shedeur Sanders, but should have been about a lot of other teams and what a lot of other teams did and opportunities for other players. But the conversation dominated by Sanders. 13 quarterbacks were taken. Cam Ward was taken first overall to the Tennessee Titans. And Shedeur goes 144th to the Cleveland Browns, the 5th round. He was the 6th quarterback taken. Here's what's kind of odd about that. 6th quarterback taken. So was Bo Nix. So was Dan Marino. But just a little bit of a different spot in the entirety of the draft where those quarterbacks were taken as opposed to where Shedeur Sanders was. You had Cam Ward, obviously, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, and Dylan Gabriel that were all taken in the NFL draft before Shedeur Sanders. I actually would tell you that more so of a surprise than Shedeur Sanders falling to 144 would have been Dylan Gabriel going ahead of him and then just Dylan Gabriel being off the board where he was. Because that's not one that I think a lot of people even talked about, that a lot of people had mocked, that a lot of people had thought about, that a lot of people even would have told you they thought was feasibly possible. I mean, think about the fact that Shedeur Sanders' height at just over 6'2" would have been a red flag for a couple of NFL franchises based on the way they grade quarterbacks. And Dylan Gabriel, not even 6 feet tall, went ahead of him. And so that would have, to me, been a bigger surprise than any of it. Because that's not one that we talked about him potentially being drafted, period, at all. But being off the board there, specifically ahead of Sanders, is where I don't think a lot of people would have looked at that and said, no, that's real, that's possible, that's a real thing. But I did think the Browns, we'll go through some of my draft grades. Teams I thought had a really good draft. I have a couple of teams that are sort of 50-50 drafts. Like I think it's a coin toss where it could end up being great. It could end up being a question mark. And then I think there are teams that had a solid draft, and there's a couple that are, I'm not real sure what you're doing drafts. I still think overall the Browns draft was so good that those quarterback selections, plural, I'm going to allow to be a bit of a pass because you go get Mason Graham, who's going to be a game changer right now, day one. He's a problem. And he can play inside. He can disrupt. He can hold the point. He can do a lot of different things on the interior of your defensive line. Obviously, you free up a lot for Myles Garrett and company. Now, Carson Schlesinger, a lot of people love him out of UCLA. I think he's a little too light to hold up. But if you're allowing him to be sort of a pressure guy and you're allowing him to be somebody that's just going to see ball, get ball, shoot the A gap, B gap, then he can be problematic there. He's really good at that. He's kind of like he's a little bit of a sort of like a Weeks from LSU where you turn him loose and he's going to cause problems. Quinshon Judkins is going to play in the NFL for a long time. He'll be a contributor day one to the Cleveland Browns. Harold Fannin is super athletic tight end, great hands, big catch radius, a move tight end that can do a lot of different things for you. Now, then you go get Dylan Sampson in the 4th, who I thought you could have made an argument should have been the 3rd running back off the board. So you get Quinshon in the 2nd, Dylan Sampson in the 4th, and then you can throw in Gabriel and Sanders and whatever you think about those. I really don't care because the Browns quarterback room is the most intriguing quarterback room maybe in the history of football. Maybe in the history of football. Like, I don't know if I've seen a quarterback room that has been more interesting than what the Cleveland Browns are going to start this training camp with. And they'll probably add another through free agency or as an undrafted free agent that I haven't seen. Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson. Okay. If you say so. Like, I would watch that Hard Knocks just on that room individually. Just a Hard Knocks on the Browns, parentheses, quarterback room.
That should be Netflix's quarterbacks.
That's it. Yeah, just those guys.
Just that room. That's it.
Just those. I would watch it. The SEC led the way for the 19 straight drafts, 79 picks. The Big Ten had 71, the most ever for the Big Ten. 17 more than ever before for the Big Ten. The SEC and the Big Ten combined for 150 of 257 selections. That's 58%. If you went Power 4 plus Notre Dame, 229 of the 257 picks. So the lower level players being drafted feels like it's beginning to drift a little bit. And I know you probably think, well, that's never been dominant. But if you look in the early rounds, guys from lower level schools that went, it's less than, and then overall it's less than again. Ohio State 14, Georgia 13, Texas 12, Oregon 10, your teams that led the way in the NFL draft. There was a little bit of a different trend, and that was interior defensive lineman. We mentioned Mason Graham off the board early. 30 defensive tackles were taken. That's the most ever. The only position who had more selected in this year's draft would have been wide receiver at 32. And the intriguing part about defensive tackle is there are multiple players listed as an edge that I think will spend some time, if not more time, playing inside. We talked about the edge defenders and some of them. And if you watched our draft show on ESPN's NFL YouTube channel Friday night, we talked a lot about that. There's a lot of these guys that are listed as an edge that I think are going to live inside. Walter Nolan, Shamar Stewart, those guys are not going to be lined up outside the tackle 95% of the time. It's just that's not going to be a real thing. Yeah, but the most defensive tackles drafted in the 7-round draft. That started in 94. And we say that balance wins in football, right? Offense, defense, special teams. You got to have all three facets. 127 players selected on offense, 127 players selected on defense, and 4 specialists. I mean, that sounds like
that feels fairly
that's
easy.
right about the way Newt Rockne wanted it, right?
Exactly. I feel that's the way you'd construct your team too. Half on offense, half on defense, and throw
just
specialists
the bare minimum special teams in there. Just
enough so they, I guess, can practice.
We had a new kicker for the Brahmas on Sunday that they signed a week and a half ago. I asked him what he had been doing. He was like, just hanging out.
Like during practice or in life?
No. Before he got signed.
Oh.
Like, were you getting prepared? He said, I was just at the house. Made a field goal in the game, though. So, just gives you a little idea.
That's the life.
What specialists are doing to try and go get ready. So, we'll go through it. I will say, though, early in the draft, that has been dominated by the offense recently. And we've seen this. Now, normally it has been wide receiver early. That wasn't really the case in this year's draft. In the last 3 drafts, top 10 picks, you have 24 on offense and 7 on defense. So that has been a little bit different as far as where drafts are going, at least early. It has been heavy offense as opposed to what it has been in the past, previously to the last 3-4 drafts. So what teams did I like? What teams did you like? 800-239-9569, 800-239-WJOX. You want us to get to your team, your team's picks. How would you grade them? How do you like them? We'll go through all the teams throughout the course of the show today. David Hale, who covers the ACC, is going to join us at 8 o'clock today. This will be intriguing. I didn't realize it had gone as far as SportsCenter. I just saw him on SportsCenter a second ago. David lost a bracket challenge, and his punishment for losing, coming in last, was to spend 24 hours in a Buc-ee's.
Uh-huh.
Now, the first thing I need to know is, did he get a nap? Like, are you able to sleep at all? Like, is there a corner you can go to and just lay down? Do they let you lay down? Because they had a table set up for him and everything. Now, they have those like game chairs, the unfoldable chairs you take out.
Yeah.
I don't know if they sell sofas.
I don't know if they sell darkness because that place is bright. And
There's nowhere. Yeah, I don't. Maybe you could hit like the family bathroom, changing room. I mean, that
like
doesn't
Pursuit
feel
of Happiness.
great to be able to lay down in there. It's kind of gross.
Just hope they're not making brisket.
I think you just tough it out and you stay up for 24 hours. It does not feel enjoyable, and he'll share that experience with us. Matt Miller, you saw him on ESPN's draft coverage. He'll be with us at 9 o'clock to recap his thoughts on the NFL draft. Outside of Shedeur Sanders, though, what were your big surprises? What were your big takeaways? We'll get to mine. Alabama and Auburn have news in the portal. We'll get to that across the course of the show today as well. I will go through my Shedeur Sanders thoughts before our first break, and then I really don't feel like there's a ton of reason to discuss it too much further because everybody else has spent really all their time discussing it, I feel like. I feel like it's pretty easy here, is that his ceiling at quarterback is pretty close to being reached right now. Once you get past the second round, I don't feel like there are a lot of quarterbacks. You're either drafted on raw potential or you're drafted on what they think you kind of are right now. That's my opinion. I think Shedeur is very close to his ceiling. I don't feel like the teams feel like there's a ton of room of growth or there's a whole lot more in there that's going to be reached, that potential is pretty much tapped out for the most part. And then on top of that, you have some of the attitude, the demeanor, the disruption factor, which I do think played a part. I don't think I think there are some teams. I mean, did you guys play Lance Zierlein Friday?
Yeah.
I mean, Lance Zierlein, he laid this out for you on Friday if you heard that interview. That like the majority of the teams don't have him in the first. Just like he told you that there were teams that had a running back grade on Jalen Milroe. And Lance knows this stuff, I believe, better than anybody because of his connections to the NFL and his dad and kind of how he's followed it for his entire life, really. So I think then you look at the height, which is a small ding. I don't think it's one that you look at and say he's undraftable. I mean, hell, Dylan Gabriel's 5'11". But here's what I don't like. I don't like a lot of the stuff. Like we mentioned Tom Pelissaro's article last week, and it was what people had said about some of the meetings, some of the discussions. Like there are 2 or 3 NFL franchises that, I mean, I don't go around reporting on the NFL because I don't follow it that closely. I'm not tied to it daily like I am college football. But there are 2 or 3 franchises that I know people in the building, and I've had conversations with them. And a lot of the things that you hear, and a lot of the things that were like in Pelissaro's article, they are real. There were the things that I definitively know. I'll tell you this. There are a very small number of teams that are even agreed to be met with right off the bat, number one. And it was based on where they were picking. And I know 2 meetings with NFL teams that did not make it the course of what the teams had planned to make it. So if it were coming to facility, physical meetings with GM, owner, head coach, coordinator, position coach, whatever it was, then you go to install, then you go to film, then on-field workout to show install or back into film to discuss install. It was one chosen by the team and one chosen by the individual's camp of just not going to make it through it. And so for some of the people that kind of push back on that, just imagine you're out of college and you're trying to get a job, and there are places that you can get a job that are really good, and they ask you for certain things, and you say, nah. I mean, I'll give you this and this, but I don't really feel like I got to give you a resume. I'll give you a bio. Or, I mean, I'll interview with you, but I'm not interviewing with the regional manager too. How would I do that? Okay, we're going to go through we're going to have an install of the products that you're going to sell for us. And then 2 hours later, we're going to need you to discuss said products. I'm not doing that. Or one of the responses was, well, I need to know what the sales force around me is going to be looking like and like what the people here are going to be doing also. Which, by the way, with some of the things happening recently in college football, is really intriguing to think about how those align at certain levels and places of college football and then potentially happening out of college into the NFL draft. I just think there's a lot to it. And I think a lot of teams looked at it and said, this is not a bona fide starter for us. Point blank, plain and simple, but not worth it. And that could be 80% father. It could be 10% father. It could be 80% play. It could be 20% play. It could be 90% ceiling, 10% ceiling. But even if you take small percentages of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 different things, you begin to say, you know what? I got an idea. Let's just push this one to the side. And again, like Lance Zierlein said, there are multiple teams that just took him off. Not on the board. Literally. Not an option to draft. Multiple teams did not have it as an option to draft. So I don't think that there was any collusion. I don't think that there was any, I mean, I don't know. John, you would be interested to hear this from you also. Like some of the collusion, some of the racism, some of the organized blackballing, had those people never paid attention to the NFL before?
I feel like they did maybe 10 or so years or so ago when another person was going through something similar, being allegedly blackballed in collusion. I feel like those are the 2 times that they were really kind of paying attention in the NFL?
I mean, do we need to go through the laundry list of guys that have had potential, if not definitive issues in their background that have been drafted? Some drafted high, by the way. I mean, what did Randy Moss slide to? 18?
Yeah.
Oh, guys, but he's got headaches. Warren Sapp fell to what? 19 or 20? Guys, he's got headaches. He went in the first round. Now, there was one with Lyle Collins, which was legitimately being accused of murder and then was completely off the hook, which fell right into Dallas's lap. Would have been, I believe, easily a second-round pick. That legally, with what was open at the time and information that was available, made that a very difficult situation. But we have seen this over and over and over again. I don't. There's a guy in this draft that went in the second round, the 27th pick of the second round, that has multiple sexual assault accusations. Mike Green went to the Ravens in the second round. There are the issues. They're right there. I just think when you take small things and you begin to stack them, it becomes very easy for a team to say, hey, guys, quarterback is not the only thing we need. We could really use another tight end. We could really use another running back. We could really use a swing guard. We could really take a couple chances at tackle here to see if we can get a guy to hit, and that would really do a lot of good for our cap next year if we could hold one of them instead of the guy that we're going to have to pay $22 million. Hey, we could really use another edge that this guy that's only given us 7 or 8 sacks for the last 2 years, that's due $32 million next year, who could come in and maybe give us 6 or 7 sacks, and we don't have to pay him $920,000. There's so much balance that has to take place. There's so much back and forth. There's so much jockeying for roster space and salary cap space and what you're going to do in the future and who's going to be on your roster and who you're going to try to get rid of because you know how much money they're going to take up on the cap. It all goes into it.
But it's easier to believe that there's collusion because of a prima donna, allegedly. That's the more likely.
I think the most hilarious thing that I heard over the weekend were the people who legitimately thought that Dion was a reason that they weren't going to take him. Like, you are the franchise. You say right there, point blank, yeah, you're not allowed in our building. You don't have a key. It's over. That's all. That's all you have to do. And by the way, if you're taking someone in the 5th and the dad is there every day, did these people forget that he's also a full-time head coach? In what is right now maybe the busiest profession in the history of all professions? Like it literally does not stop. Every day you're recruiting your own roster.
Did you know that he has a talk show? His own talk show on a TV. 2, by the way. On top of everything else. I did not know that. I figured you didn't. So on top of everything else that he's doing, being a head coach, trying to recruit his roster every single freaking day. Oh, by the way, he also has a talk show.
I mean, do we think he's going to have the head coach's phone number, which apparently giving out phone numbers is an issue?
Oh, yeah, that's a whole nother
Give
thing.
him a burner number and just let the $29.99 flip phone sit over there in the corner of the office and just never answer it. I just, that wasn't something that Now, is there going to be extra attention with it that other people are going to have to answer questions about it? Probably. Are your receivers and offensive linemen and the starting quarterback's going to get asked about it? Most likely for a little bit. Yeah. So I can understand you saying, you know what? We just don't. It's just not. That's not for us. It's not. And then I think the individual did that to some of the people. I think him in person sitting down with people, they said, yeah, this is not what we view as an NFL franchise quarterback. Like, this is not the guy that's going to lead us to the promised land. And I think there are other guys that I said it on this show multiple times. When teams sit down with Cam Ward, they're going to need him throw anymore. They're going to say, yeah, we signed, sealed, delivered. That's our guy. Which is why there was another workout with the Giants, because the Titans basically said, we don't need to see anybody else. That's him. That's our dude right there. That's the one. That's why they told him a week and a half before the draft, he's going to be our guy. We're going to take him. It wasn't hard. So I don't think that there was any collusion. I don't think that there was any. And it's okay for certain people to believe that he was a second round, a first round, a top 5, a top 255 quarterback. That's all opinion based. So to say that because someone had him here or someone had him there or someone like this or someone didn't like that, that's their opinion. And people's opinion of where a guy should go has zero bearing on what an NFL team should do. Like the discussions of deserving to be drafted and having to be drafted over the weekend were nauseating. No one has to be drafted. Not a single person on earth is guaranteed to be drafted. No one's birthright is to be drafted. It's not. But over the weekend, we had some folks that just, hey, he's this, therefore has to be that. That is not how it works. Do we not think that these owners are all essentially mercenaries for wins? Like, which owner doesn't care about winning? Is there one? Or ownership group or ownership family that would not sell their soul to win a Super Bowl before they get out of here? Specifically, some of the ones towards the back end. Like, you don't think Jerry Jones would sit down at a table on his yacht with Satan right now and have a real discussion about another Super Bowl? I guarantee you he would. I don't have a doubt in my mind.
Come on, big guy. What would it take?
How bad are we talking? Is my family out of it? All right, we can continue the discussion. That's where I think it is. All right, when we come back, I'll give you the teams that I look at and say maybe or maybe not. Next on Mac and Cube in the morning. Are there people that just leave caps lock on all the time? Yeah, either at work or at home. When I approach a keyboard that is used by multiple people and caps lock is just on, do you just type everything in all caps? Like, are you yelling at every person that you send an email to, or every tweet that you send out? Are you yelling at people?
It feels like it. Those are the people that would do that.
I don't understand. Every website you type in to go to, like every Google search you do is just all caps?
Maybe you really mean it.
Who are you people? I need to know.
Well, Conrad was the last one that sat there, and that makes a lot of sense.
It's happened multiple times on this computer also. It's like when Damien used to sit here and the volume was literally on full every single morning.
Yeah, but he's deaf, though.
All the way up every single time. Nothing can stop him. It's all the way up every single time.
Apparently hearing loss.
So it's like, okay, so here's a question. So do you think Conrad's phone is on caps lock all the time? I don't even know how you do that.
No, I bet he's annoyed that he has to double tap the shift to keep it up.
Like this, his home computer just on caps lock for everything that he does. I've gotten a text from him and it wasn't in all caps before. I think I've even gotten an email from him and it wasn't in all caps. So why is this keyboard always on all caps?
Could be a Windows thing.
But it's happened on other keyboards in this building too and other places. I just need to know, like, what are you people doing typing in all caps all day, every day? And then there are folks that leave the number lock on. What are you doing?
Wait, you want it off? I feel like number lock, it should be on by default.
No. Number lock, you tap it and it's on. Why would you want it on all the time?
That way I can use the keys, the number keys.
Well, first off, you have a whole set of number keys to the right.
Yeah, that's what that turns on.
Well, I just hit shift and one of the numbers at the top to do that. So when you hit number lock, it only controls the numbers to the right?
No, when you hit num lock, like if you have num lock off, it's not numbers, it's whatever the other things are. Like up, down, or whatever, home, page up, whatever all that
I don't mess with those, so I don't really know. Okay, so right now if I hit 7, yeah, number lock is not on. The light doesn't even come on, so I don't even know if it's on.
Well, maybe
okay, wait,
why.
so now it's on. 888. Okay, so now it's off. Oh, so it just doesn't do anything if it's not on.
Right,
666. Okay. See, I don't know. That's why I don't mess with those. Why would that just seems like a headache? Why would you want to bother yourself with that?
Well, back in the day,
you got to make sure it's on, make sure it's off. It's just shift 8. Like a normal human. This is probably why I failed keyboarding.
I think it was really for accountants because if you're adding a bunch of numbers, you have it right there so you can turn on and just use that instead of having to do all that here. It's like a calculator in front of you.
So why would you need to lock it though, John?
That's the only way to use it. It's either on or off.
Why? Why not just have it on all the time?
Because I guess some people don't want to and want to use the number.
What are you, Andre the Giant? And your hands dragging across that when you're trying to type things?
Some people are weird, man. We have all caps people living out here.
That's fair. We do. I need to hear from someone via Twitter at Mac and Cube. Text 205-834-9450 unless you have your number lock on and you can't text. Or 800-239-9569. Call into the Higginbotham hotline. Are you a caps lock all the time human? I need to know. Is that a real thing? All right, so we talked about Shedeur. A couple of teams that I have whose drafts that I feel like are maybe or maybe not. We'll get to some that I really like also. And you can be a part of the show, not just on caps lock if you want. 800-239-9569. Before we get to that, though, transfers, again, a big part of the NFL draft. In 2019, way back when, before the turn of the century, how many players do you think were drafted that had transferred in 2019? This is the year before all the LSU guys were drafted. So I need to go through some of the 2019 draft and just what that looked like.
I was thinking
Let me hit
25.
my numbers lock here so I can. The 2019 NFL draft consisted of going number 1 overall, Kyler Murray, Nick Bosa, Quinnen Williams, Cleveland Farrell. Oh, that's been a bust. Devin White was good for a minute. Daniel Jones, bust. Josh Allen, not the quarterback.
Oh, the other one.
It's been solid. TJ Hawkinson, it's been good. Ed Oliver, good. Devin Bush, that's a bust at 10. Jonah Williams, probably not worth 11, but it's been okay. Rashawn Gary. Remember he had he was his own agent. He started his own agency.
Yeah.
I might have to go look at career production for Rashawn Gary. I have a feeling that one. I mean, I think most people thought Christian Wilkins at 13 has been okay. Chris Lindstrom's been really good for the Falcons. That is the value pick so far. Ooh, Dwayne Haskins at 15. Brian Burns at 16. Dexter Lawrence been really good at 17. Garrett Bradbury's been solid at 18. Jeffrey Simmons been really good at 19. There's another one.
We're at 2 now?
Well, no, I'm just saying there's another one that had some issues coming in. And it's
okay. Yeah.
They still took him in the first at 19. Denver Broncos, Noah Fant at 20. Darnell Savage at 21. Andre Dillard at 22. I knew that one wasn't going to work. Titus Howard, 23. Well, we were stretching on tackles in 2019. Josh Jacobs at 24, been pretty good. Marquise Brown, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Abram, Jerry Tillery, LJ Collier, DeAndre Baker, Caleb McGarry, and N'Keal Harry were your first-round picks.
If I remember, I believe Debo's in that draft too, second round.
36th overall.
Yeah. Mecole Hardman.
I'm trying to look in the second round now for some value picks. Eric McCoy to the Saints has been really good. A.J. Brown, 51. A little value there. Even though you couldn't hold on to him. But yeah. Mecole Hardman at 56, you're right. So there were a couple. DK Metcalf at 64.
Well, that's second.
I will say he did have a broken neck. To be fair, he did have a fusion in his neck, which some teams probably looked at and said, you know what, that might be a bit of an injury red flag. We're going to try to move on from. Birmingham Stallions, Jay Sternberger taking 75th. So not a ton of these are looking like they were way out of whack, except for the ones that Dawson Knox at 96. He's been pretty good.
Hunter Renfrow, pick 149.
Oh, I think I may have just found the jewel of this draft at pick 106 in the 4th round. From Eastern Michigan, Max Crosby.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that might get it.
Y'all missed on that one. So that was 2019. There were 18 transfers drafted in 2019.
Okay, I overshot a little bit. All right.
18. So having said that, 20 and 21, we went 24 transfers. We moved up just a smidge. I will tell you this. In 2022, we went 35. How many players in this year's draft do you think had transferred?
I will say 60.
93. 93 of 257 were transfers. 78 last year, 47 the year before, 35 the year before that. Whoa. Now, I will say it was lower on the early ends of the draft comparatively to the last few years. But either way, a lot of transfers that are coming off the board. And I don't think that's slowing down anytime soon. If you go ahead and look at some of the mocks for next year, it's going to be transfers next year too. Guys that have moved on, guys that have gone different places. It's not going to slow down in the near future. It's just going to continue to go and continue to be there. So I mentioned I would give you teams that I feel like are a giant maybe, as in could end up being really good, could end up being a bust of a draft. I'll give you those teams when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:37 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Going to continue talking NFL draft, 800-239-9569. Louis DeArmond tweets in, I agree, number lock should always be on. It's all caps. So caps lock obviously on also there.
He's one of those.
Crazy Bama fan tweets in, numbers lock on all the time. Seriously, though, you don't need your cap lock on ever. I use numbers all day. I need it locked so I don't have to look away from my document while typing. Makes my day go faster. Marilyn tweets in, I do the shift 8 thing. I never use the numbers on the side. That's me. But I am also, I will say, I'm on a laptop a lot more than a desktop. My desktop keyboard at home does not have the side numbers.
Really? Oh.
I don't think the Apple
No, it's just the letters. More or less, yeah. I think you could buy that attachment if you wanted it.
Tommy Wyndham tweets in, Conrad also doesn't know how to change a tire. I need to know what year's car is.
It's
because it has only gotten easier and easier and easier over time.
It's this century, I'll tell you that.
And you can also, I only know this because when I most recently had to change a tire on my vehicle, even though we didn't use it, there was a member of the group. There were 2 guys who helped me just because they were there, and he had it out on YouTube how to do it. And there was a guy that, step by step visual showed you the entire thing, which was amazing because it looked like he had a flat tire and literally was changing his on the side of the road and said, you know what, I'm just going to make a YouTube out of this. And just did it as he was doing it. Not here's how you would do it. Did the video as he was doing it.
This is content, baby.
John Mack tweets in, the only time caps lock is okay. TU sucks. I don't really think that's...
I feel like if you're typing Texas A&M, it would be in all caps. That way you don't have to shift and not shift and shift. But what do I know?
Okay. So I still haven't had someone text in, tweet in, call in saying that caps lock should be on all the time.
Oh, no.
And it can't be an accident that 7 or 8 different times I've come in here and caps lock has still been down. Like you didn't leave by going caps lock, typing something, and then going home.
Is caps lock all the time or unpacking for vacation the more psychopathic behavior?
Unpacking all of your stuff at a vacation into the drawers for a day and a half is a much more psychotic behavior.
Okay.
Although I will say there were more people responding then that said they do that than this.
We have yet to have one. Well, I guess we don't want to shame them, let them think they're a psychopath, but you're engaging in psychopathic behavior with caps lock on all the time.
Cody Biddle tweets in, only serial killers have caps lock on all the time.
Yeah. They did it with the magazines when they cut out the letters. They never cut out lowercase letters.
I don't know. It's cool. Let's see. Check the tape on that. I will say this. I do think that the unpacking at a hotel, if you don't recall, that was an old 3-man front conversation. That was a AC 3-man front conversation or WC, whatever, all caps.
Right.
3-man front conversation with Landrum Roberts, who, when he gets to a hotel room, even if he gets there on Friday night and is leaving Sunday morning, so that is technically a day,
right?
That he will unpack everything in his bag into drawers, hanging in the closet, all of it. Like even with other stuff in the top right drawer, like belt,
right,
cufflinks, whatever else, stapler, all right there. And then all the way empty. To which the majority of people would say there's something wrong with you if you do that. I will say this, though. I think that is a little bit more of a learned behavior, as in when you went on vacations or trips with your parents and they always did that. So you just think you have to do that.
You grew up in it. Okay.
I don't think keeping caps locked down is a learned behavior.
No. You're engaged. That's willful. That's wanton disregard for society.
I think that, that's something that you do and there's something wrong with you.
Yes.
Don't feel like that you should ever go there. All right, here's a couple of drafts that I look at that are big maybes for me. Number one's the Atlanta Falcons. Now, these are drafts that I could really like. And there are obviously parts that I like where I wouldn't even put them in the maybe category. But I think I know the direction that some of these teams were going. I just think that you chose to do it in a way that also leaves a very big maybe not. Falcons 1. I love Jalen Walker. I love Jalen Walker, the human. I love Jalen Walker, the football player. But you have to at least leave the door open of exactly what he will be in the NFL. Is he going to be an edge rusher? Is he going to play off the ball? I think he's pretty good off the ball. Now, how much was he asked to actually diagnose, read, and react to? I don't necessarily know. But I feel like when it was him one-on-one, see ball far away, go get ball, he was able to do that on a regular basis. And he did it with a little more speed than a lot of other guys at his position. Can he hold up as just an edge rusher in the NFL? Because the little stab and speed to power stab rush is not going to work every week against Trent Williams. Like, that's not going to be one that you consistently win with. Then you go James Pierce. Yes, 4.29. It's great. Awesome. Flexible, can bend, has the ability to be a great pass rusher, has not been a great pass rusher for very long. Does not have an abundance of elite pass rush reps on tape. It's in there. Can you get it out? I absolutely love Xavier Watson, Billy Bowman. I love them both. But you drafted two safeties in which their liabilities are in coverage. Now, if you're going to pressure and you're going to move and you're going to ask these guys to just kind of hang back and sort of be your last line of defense, they will come up and tackle. And they can cover some ground, but coverage is not their strength. And you take a tackle in Jack Nelson laid out of Wisconsin, which, again, that is one that you're taking that you kind of hope, okay, maybe we can get him in here. He can develop into a guy that can help us one day and possibly be a swing tackle, but you're not taking him second pick in the 7th to come in and start. So a massive maybe draft for the Atlanta Falcons, in my opinion. I think it could be awesome. We could look at the draft in 3 years and say, you completely changed your defense. And again, the direction that I think you're going, speed, athleticism, and a little bit of edge. Because Watson and Bowman both have an edge at safety. I'm not going to tell you James Pierce has an edge, really. I don't think that's his game. But that's okay. I don't think looked at Javon Kearse coming out of college and been like, ooh, edge. Don't get in that guy's way. Javon was more off the ball than on the ball in college anyway. But when he got to Tennessee, and I think that's got to kind of be your comp right there, is a little bit undersized, maybe can put on some weight, can bend, can really turn the corner on the quarterback, and can be a problem off the edge. That's sort of what it has to fall into if that's going to go. So that would be sort of my first big, I guess, maybe draft here. I have a couple more that I can get to on the other side as far as drafts that I look at that could be great, might be rough. And it's kind of a coin flip in my brain right now. Not a coin flip on who you should call if you're thinking about retirement. I'd like to introduce you to our friend and wealth advisor, Tad Hill, your trusted retirement planning partner. Tad is a co-host of the Retire with Freedom radio show and TV shows in Birmingham and Huntsville and has been designated by Forbes as the #1 financial securities professional in the state of Alabama multiple years running. Tad, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Cole. Today I want to talk about something that's usually on everyone's mind, and that is taxes. How do we reduce our tax burden as much as we possibly can? And one of the things that many of you probably don't know is that taxes are actually on sale right now. When the current laws sunset, taxes are going to go up. So if you've got a lot of tax-deferred money, 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, when that money comes out, it's going to get taxed at your highest marginal tax rate. If you've never had anyone analyze if you can get that money into tax-free accounts like Roth IRAs, we cover how to do that in detail in our retirement course that we teach at our office on Valley Dale Road. If you'd like to sign up for the next course, text JOX, J-O-X, to 205-988-0006, 988-0006.
This is a paid placement. Investment advisory services are made available through AE Wealth Management. For more information about Forbes rankings, visit Forbes.com.
Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I'll give you a couple of my other maybe teams in the NFL draft that I think I like what they did, but I'm not certain about what they did. Coming up after our next break, David Hale, who has been serving a punishment of spending 24 hours in a Buc-ee's, will join us. Also talk some ACC as well, as the ACC did not have, after the first pick, a great NFL draft. Matt Miller of ESPN will join us at 9 to give us his thoughts on the NFL draft. Another team that I view as a maybe, might be, could be, and this one's a little bit more difficult because the numbers are greater, would be the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I love Genty, but you took a running back at 6, so a better hit. It's still extremely high for that position, no matter what. But I love the fact that you bring in a guy that's a bit of a hammer, that adds some physicality. Whatever your quarterback situation looks like moving forward, going to be able to help protect that. And they haven't necessarily had a lot of things that have allowed them to be able to grind out yards. I think Jack Best is a great football player. I said when he went to TCU, I couldn't believe another SEC team didn't try to scoop him up. I think he runs good routes. I think he knows how to get open. He's got great hands. He's not the fastest. That's fine. I think he's tough as nails. He obviously now has a little extra motivation. I think he's a good kid. And like when he was at LSU, just every time I watched him play, I was like, man, football player. He's not afraid to try to block. He'll give you runoff routes where he knows he's not getting the football. Like, he is just a football player. You take Darian Porter, a corner out of Iowa State, who I think if you're looking for length, and a lot of people are at corner, he's going to be able to provide that. You take Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. Caleb Rogers, a tackle out of Texas Tech. Charles Grant, if you watch his film at William and Mary, he's 6'5", 311. He didn't start playing football, I don't think, until like his junior year in high school, maybe even senior year. And then played at William and Mary, had an opportunity to transfer out of William and Mary, and said, no, these are the coaches that brought me in. These are the guys that have started to help me develop. I'm not leaving them. Now, he is a developmental tackle. He's got a long way to go, but the upside is great with him. So essentially, he is a maybe pick in and of his own. Then you go Dante Thornton out of Tennessee, which we've been hearing the fairy tales about how Dante Thornton runs for 5 years. The problem is he's never healthy enough to stay on the field and show us how he runs. But maybe, just maybe out there, somewhere in the folklore of football, Dante Thornton can really, really run and be healthy enough to be on the field and actually catch the football. Once again, a maybe. Tonka Hemingway is not a maybe. He is a super solid defensive tackle out of South Carolina. I think he can give you reps. Do I think he's a full-time all-pro disruptor? No. But he can provide you interior defensive line depth. He can be a move guy a little bit. He can hold the point. He's never going to be Aaron Donald. But every team needs some extra bodies inside to eat up space. He can do that. And he can provide a little pass rush. He's got some wiggle. He's just a solid player. I don't think he's a maybe, but if you're talking about ceiling of draft, he's never going to be a guy that just explodes past what everybody thinks he's going to be. J.J. Pegues can. And you draft the hybrid quarterback, H-back, fullback, tight end, sometimes defensive lineman out of Ole Miss. All the ability in the world, all the twitch and quickness for a guy his size. Will it turn into being a great defensive lineman? We'll see. So once again, a maybe. Tommy Malloy, wide receiver out of Montana State. Cam Miller, quarterback out of North Dakota State. And then Cody Lindbergh, linebacker out of Minnesota. So I look at that draft and I say, man, there are a couple of players that could end up being an awesome draft. But you took some smaller school developmental guys, some tweeners at the higher level that just absolutely might not work out. So the Raiders would be next in line for me as a maybe draft. One that I could see being really good and one that I could look at and say, I just don't know. Game Day Men's Health, never a maybe. It's definitive. They're going to help you feel better. If you're having trouble sleeping at night, if you feel on edge, if you don't have energy, could be the effects of low testosterone. Maybe you're looking for better skin care. You're looking for anti-aging. They now have peptides in stock that they can do a concoction for you. It's going to be able to help you with what you feel like you need better assistance with. Also, weight loss programs. They can help you with that. Save 10% on any program they offer at Game Day Men's Health by mentioning Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door. Locker room environment, good people, low stress, not going to try to push you anything that you don't need. But you do get a free consultation when you sign up at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. free PSA test, free testosterone test. They're going to give you the baseline of where your health is and then present you all the different ways that they can help with a minimal upfront cost for the programs that they offer. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Tell them you heard about them right here on Mac and Cube in the morning. My last maybe draft, the Arizona Cardinals. Walter Nolan, big upside. We've seen him disrupt. We've seen him be a problem. He also took naps at practice at his previous stop and didn't want to play football all the time. Will Johnson, cornerback Michigan, health is the only concern. He was dinged at the combine again and was off of certain teams' boards. Jordan Birch is not an edge. He thinks he's an edge. We talked to Dan Lanning about him Friday night. He said he still thinks some of his best football is in front of him. He has a ton of ability, a ton of talent. But he's 6'4", 279, and I don't see him playing a lot lighter than that. I don't think he's twitchy enough to live outside in the NFL. Can he give you some reps there? Yes, but not full time. Cody Simon, linebacker, Ohio State, is a heat-seeking missile, but I think he's a little bit one-dimensional. Denzel Burke did not have the year people thought he was going to at Ohio State. Hayden Connor is a grinder at guard. You get him out of Texas, and I love him. And you get Keaton Crawford, a safety out of Nevada. So Nolan, Johnson, mainly Birch and Burke. There's a lot of probably, and then there's some maybe nots. So the Cardinals will be another coin flip draft for me, as in I could see it being really good in 4 years, or I could see it being, what were y'all doing? But I do understand kind of where they're going is they have to get more athletic on defense. They have to get a little more twitchy on defense. The emphasis was obviously on that side of the football. I mean, you only drafted one offensive player. So similar to Atlanta, I understand the mindset. Like, you know where they're going. It's just you don't really have the best idea of whether or not it's going to work out. David Hale, 24 hours in a Buc-ee next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Hour number 2 underway right here on Jocks 94.5. We have mentioned our sort of maybe drafts. We've talked high end, low end of the NFL draft, some of the controversy that came with the NFL draft. We've talked caps lock. Also number lock. Somebody who was locked in a Buc-ee's for 24 hours joins us now on the Higginbotham Hotline. David Hale of ESPN, the ACC Network, covers the ACC, writes for ESPN.com, joins us. All right, so tell our listeners first and foremost how we got to where we were. First off, what is your status? Are you out of the Buc-ee's now? Are you free?
No. I am mid Buc-ee's. I have I have exactly 1 hour left. So you've caught me 23 hours into a Buc-ee's existence. I'm currently staring at key lime pie in a cup, which I don't know why anyone would want that, but it seems awful.
Whoa, hold on. Wait a second.
All right.
Why does that feel? Why does that sound awful?
Well, you've got to see it. Like, the color is very unnatural, and it's also in a cup.
Yeah, like, but it just makes it easier to consume, in my opinion.
Well, okay, all right. Well, you're the former O-lineman. I do trust your opinion on these things.
Being fat and eating should be things you trust my opinion on. I will go ahead and say that, yes.
Yeah.
Which the first thing that came to mind when you told me this was how much weight I would probably gain if I attempted this. Because, like, for somebody who was stuck in the LaGuardia Delta Sky Club for 13 hours on Saturday, and it was a lot better than any other Sky Club I've been in, I ate a lot because it was actually pretty good food. Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm going to try a couple of those chocolate chip cookies. Oh, wow. Y'all got bagels. Okay, cool. We're going with that. Would you get a few of those? It was just all day. Are you just like basically grazing the food the entire time you've been there?
Yes. Yeah. As you get into the later night hours, there is nothing else to do really except for consume just the food that will make me, well, it's not like I'm in great shape now. So there wasn't so too far to go down, but I'm currently filled with brisket and regret.
Is there anything that you thought you wouldn't try on the front end of this that you have tried and actually enjoyed?
Well, yeah, no. I mean, there's the sheer amount of beef jerky available here is ridiculous. But several of the flavors, you just think like I don't know how I feel about some of these, and they've been great. There is a jalapeno peanut brittle that I tried that turned out to be really good, like sweet with a little kick of spice on the aftertaste. Very entertaining, very solid food. And of course, then there's the stuff that I came in knowing was going to be life altering, like the XL brisket sandwich, of which I've had 2. And so anyway, yeah, it's been a heck of a day.
Are you being asked for a photograph right now?
I am. Yes, I am.
Okay.
You want to be a part of my selfie?
I mean, you can just take the picture if you need like a second me to buy a little bit of time. I can do that, or if you just need to.
All right, let's do it. Let's
take a picture with the person. I feel like you should do that. Yeah, you said that you went with all the different types of beef jerky, and then you said that you tried the brittle. The first thing that I thought of, if I was just going to go with a lot of different random things, and I was going to try multiple flavors of one thing at Buc-ee's, I think the fudge is the first thing that would have come over for me.
Naturally, yeah.
I mean, every time I go in there, I'm I see a new flavor that I want to try, whether it's Oreo or birthday cake or cupcake or whatever.
All good. I got to work behind the fudge counter for a little while. They taught me about how the fudge is properly cut. I sold several boxes of fudge. You get a 6-pack of fudge. That's 1.5 pounds of fudge that you're getting.
Wow.
And yes, the flavors are amazing. There's a key lime pie one that it is basically the same as like drinking a Red Bull. Like it'll put a pop in your step afterwards. But then there's one that's like the entire middle of it is peanut butter. And you have to be very careful cutting these ones because the peanut butter starts to squeeze out. This is why they're professionals here. I was a rank amateur. All
right, so we did not get to at the beginning of this. How did this come about? David Hale, ACC reporter for ESPN.com, is spending 24 hours in a Buc-ee. How did this happen? I keep saying it's singular, by the way, Buc-ee's. I don't know why I'm going singular today. It's fatigue, but still, sorry.
That's weird because my mom does the opposite. She calls it like Kmart's and Walmart's. She makes them plural.
We've had that conversation on the show before. Yeah, how ridiculous that is. And I don't normally do that. I've just done it today for whatever reason. It's a lack of sleep, I think.
Yeah, all right. Well, I can empathize with this. Well, so my colleague at ESPN and the ACC Network, Andrea Adelson, and we have a running bet every year where we pick every ACC game over the course of a season. Whoever has the worst record, there's no prize for the winner, by the way. It's just a punishment for the loser. Whoever has the worst record has to do something dumb. Previously, this has been relatively low stakes. We turn to, I would argue, like sort of the Mensa of modern society, the smartest people in the world, which is my Twitter followers, and ask them what should the punishment be. We narrowed it down to 4, put it up for a vote, and Buc-ee's was the runaway winner. Which at the time I thought, yeah, sure, that'll be good for a laugh, and it's been good for a laugh. That part's true.
Was there, John and I's first question was sleep. Do you attempt it? Was there a thought of trying to get some? Like, is there a potential nap? Is there a place they let you lay down? How did you go in? What was your strategy going in on any sort of sleep, and how has that gone?
Right. Well, they furnished me with a nice camping chair, and I purchased for, I think, $19.99 a Buc-ee's Snuggie, which is super comfortable. And so I thought maybe, but it's very bright in here. And even in the middle of the night, there's like people doing stuff and yelling about making new briskets. So you're going to hear that now. And so it's hard to really fall into any sort of a deep sleep. I nodded off for a few minutes here or there, but would immediately be jarred back into the horrifying reality that I find myself in. You think like maybe it was all a horrible dream that I've been here for 20 straight hours. No, that's real.
All right. So no attempt at sleep, have not gotten any sleep. How many random people, like we just heard, have come up to you and either seen that you're there, have wanted to get a photograph, anything of that nature?
It has been phenomenal. I just took a picture with a guy who was on the App State team that went into the Big House and beat Michigan.
Nice.
I met a city council member from Daytona Beach earlier, and I asked her if she would give me a key to the city for doing this, and she said that no, in fact, this did not exceed the barrier to getting a key to the city. I was talking to some folks pumping gas, one of whom is the cousin of a running back at Boston College that I know. It's crazy. It is a big Buc-ee's, but it's a small world.
It's interesting that you asked for a key to the city, David, because fun fact about Greg McElroy, who is absent today, he has 2 keys to 2 different cities.
My goodness, where does he keep them?
Actually, they're in his office in a both enshrined in some sort of frame / plaque, something or other. I don't think they would work and open anything, but he does have them.
It makes sense to do that because like those things are kind of big. So like having them like in your pocket this whole time can be, I can see how that would be difficult. But also I'd want to show it to people, right? I'd want to have those keys to the city anytime, and like you could bust it out and people would have to be like, "Oh, key to the city! You come into my house, I guess." Yeah,
imagine if you were like super important, like a Dan Marino, something like that. Like you could walk around like a janitor with the keys to the cities on your pocket, like you just pull out the big string and like
wherever he needs to go.
Yeah, I got that. Like Pittsburgh, here you go.
I bet like Dan Marino's like TV is just something he took out of some random guy in Pittsburgh's living room, and nobody could do a thing about it.
Not a single thing. What was your takeaway from the ACC portion of this year's NFL draft?
Well, Cam Ward was pretty good, I think. And I think Cam Ward is just a tremendous story in general. It's a shame that he was sort of overshadowed by a guy who wasn't taken until 2 days later, but that's sort of the world we live in. Aside from that, there was only 1 ACC player taken in the first round. 2 is the lowest number for the ACC in the first round going since 2004, a time in which the league had 9 members instead of 17. So it's not great. And I think this is part of a larger conversation around the ACC, which is in this era of college football, if you have less money, does that inherently equate to less talent? And if you've got less talent, have you essentially backed yourself into a corner where you cannot win consistently enough to ever get more money to get more talent? it becomes a vicious cycle, or at least that's the risk that I think a lot of schools are wary about. And I think if you look at the recruiting rankings, you look at the draft, you look at the transfer portal, there's a lot of talent coming and going from the two money leagues right now than there are from the other leagues. And it has not been a great run for the ACC over the last few years, and particularly this year when it comes to the NFL draft.
What are your post-spring takeaways from the ACC? Is there a team that you feel like I feel a lot better about, that we should be talking more about? Is there a team that maybe you have more concerns about based on what you heard, saw, or has happened through spring practice?
Yeah, I mean, to say that I like Miami and Clemson is probably not breaking any news. I think they're both in pretty good shape. There's certainly plenty of question marks surrounding North Carolina. That will be an ongoing story. I don't know the first thing because Bill Belichick didn't make a single player available. He's barely talked. It is a mystery what is happening at UNC, aside from, we're all talking about him and his girlfriend. The team that I think is sort of flying under the radar is Louisville, because they go out and get Miller Moss in the transfer portal, which I think Jeff Brom, you see Tyler Shuck became the third quarterback off the board in the draft. That's what Jeff Brom can do with a really talented quarterback, which I think Miller Moss is. He's got a really good supporting cast. They've got two of the most explosive running backs in the country. And if the defense plays good, which I think they're still a little worried about the secondary, but from my conversations with Jeff Brom is he's a lot more pleased with the defensive front than I thought he might be at this point. There's a lot to like about Louisville with a manageable schedule, and they're sort of, floating under the radar just a little bit for a team that's won 19 games over the last 2 years.
Oh, absolutely. What did you mentioned that obviously things are good with Clemson and Miami. What is the discussion around Carson Beck there in Coral Gables? I know he's still coming off the injury, so not going to be a full participant in practice just yet. But what's the thought of Mario and the staff and Shannon Dawson? What are their thoughts?
Yeah, I was just down in Coral Gables last week and talked to some folks there, and the overwhelming takeaway among them is that sort of the image of Carson Beck that is out there because of his girlfriend and social media and some of the ways that he has been presented publicly are not at all who he is. He's sort of a more understated guy. He is very professional in how he does things. He did not practice with them this spring, but he was at every practice. And I talked to Francisco Mauanoa, their star left tackle, and he was like, when we had a great play, when any of the other quarterbacks did anything good, the guy celebrating first was Carson Beck. So I think he's made a good impression at Miami. I look back at the way that last year went at Georgia, and frankly, I think you can make the case Miami's surrounding him with a better supporting cast than what Georgia surrounded him with, at least at the skill positions last year. He was limited, and you could see how those limitations turned into him pressing down the stretch. And I think it sort of became a vicious cycle that he didn't escape from very easily. A fresh start is probably smart. I think we saw what happened to Cam Ward by going to Miami last year. I think Carson Beck is the exact opposite type of player, but it's a situation where he could, this time last year we were talking about him as a potential number one overall pick. He could certainly work his way back into it.
Absolutely. All right, so you're less than an hour away. We have 45 minutes, 46 minutes left?
46 minutes. And I appreciate this. You guys have helped kill, a small percentage of that. And that means a lot to me.
Will you go into Buc-ee's more often or less often now after this?
I got to go work at the brisket counter, like chopping the brisket, with a lovely young lady named Naomi who was teaching me the ropes of it. And I asked her, are you so sick of the brisket, the smell, all of it, that you just never want to eat brisket again? And she's like, nah, it's pretty good brisket. I have it pretty often. So that's kind of how I feel. Like, I need a break, but I'll be back. I'll be back pretty frequently.
Yeah, there's no way you can ever tackle everything there is to eat in there. So you kind of got to go back at some point just to try the things that you learned about that you haven't had yet. So, well, good luck. We appreciate it. Especially, I'm really surprised at the level of energy here on the 23rd hour of this, to be honest, with no naps. So
it's a lot of caffeine, and it's going to come to a terrible ending pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a long nap / sleep, and then probably another nap. So, but enjoy it. We appreciate the time, David. Talk to you soon.
Yep. Great talking to you guys.
All right, that's David Hale of ESPN.com, covers the ACC Network on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. How do you think that would go for you, 24 hours in a Buc-ee's?
Not well. Although I might find a way to sleep the whole time.
Would it be a I mean, there's all these crazy punishments that we see for fantasy football teams and for losing brackets, whatever. Is that one that would be more welcoming? There are positives that come with it.
There are.
Specifically, it sounds like his Buc-ee's is on board with this.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, come try to do this. Or, hey, do you want to try that? I don't know why he paid for the Snuggie. He probably should have said, can I have the Snuggie? And they were probably giving it to him.
They did give him the chair already. So
yes,
it was
that's
just
fair.
Funny, but right. I think there's part of me that would rather attempt the 24 hours in a Waffle House, but like you deduct an hour for every something you eat rather than.
Yeah, those deals right there, I'd be out quick.
Yeah.
They would regret giving me the option to eat
Correct,
things to then exit because I feel like we just go. Like there's half the day gone.
Yep.
And we hadn't even been here an hour. Y'all messed up on that one.
Yeah, I can sit around, relax for a little bit, get my second win, and then I'm out after what?
Yeah, I don't
3-4
know.
hours?
I don't guess he had any ways to
he
subtract time. That should have been an option at least. Like every brisket sandwich, you get an hour off, maybe. Every square of fudge, you get half an hour off.
No, I think that's if you're going to Buc-ee's, you got to do it right. You got to be there the whole 24 hours.
Do you think he's trying to go pump gas for anybody, or?
He said he was out talking to people, which I mean, not knowing the rules, I thought you had to literally stay inside. Like if he was able to get out,
and walk around, and you don't get to look at all those grills they have, and look at all the camping equipment that they have and hunting gear.
But he just walked up to people pumping gas like he was an
attendant.
Yeah,
I've never had anybody at a Buc-ee's approach me outside. Do you wonder how they stay in business?
No,
I do.
Mm-mm.
Just the mass footprint. There's always people in there, and I get it, but just the mass and scale of it all, you wonder, like, is this making money?
It's the same thing about Costco. I mean, they're so big, so massive, and the parking lot's always full. Yet you walk in like nobody's in
there. There's like 11 people.
Yeah,
there. Yeah. It is odd. I think a lot of people meet and park there and leave car there.
That's
which Buc-ee probably doesn't care.
No.
Because he's like, that just means you're going to come in when you come back. You came in when you left, and you're going to come in again when you come back. And maybe all of you are coming in. Even if just one of you comes in, you're good. The last time I was there, I tried I think they have like a Kaneka hot dog.
Oh, my.
Ooh.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it was pretty legit.
The one thing that would, I guess, give me pause to doing the Waffle House one over the Buc-ee's one, I know the Buc-ee's bathroom is going to be clean and good and fine.
That's fair.
Waffle House, ooh.
Especially if you're trying to eat your way out.
Correct, yeah.
Take some Clorox wipes.
Whew. Maybe just Clorox.
See, y'all think those Clorox wipes are only good for wiping the tray down in your seat. And you people who don't wipe your headrest down on your plane, I question you.
You have shown me the light with that. Like ever since, like when you told me you did, I was like, oh, that feels weird. And then I was like, you know what?
Not when you look at it when you sit down. It needs to be done. It needs to be done. All right, we'll talk more NFL draft next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 800-239-9569 if you would like to get into the show. Also, you can text into the show 205-834-9450. And Saber and I were talking. Saber and I were talking during the break and just kind of talking about if you were to be stuck somewhere for a certain amount of time, say punishment, and you lost a wager, lost a bet, whether it was a bracket wager, whether it was something else along those lines, where would you want to be stuck? Like Saber brought up the Waffle House thing. Now we have Buc-ee's on the table. What's a spot that you feel like, all right, if I had to spend 24 hours in, I'd be pretty good with that. That would be good for me.
So I guess the question is it a place that is open 24 hours or like, for example, like a Target? Like obviously they close, but would they be like, all right, we'll let you stay here, just, don't steal. And don't steal all the food.
I mean, I do think though that like a major portion of wanting to be there is going to be access to the things, either free or. Problem is, if it's for purchase, then it's kind of a double loss.
Right. Yeah.
You're spending a day there, and then
a mortgage payment probably.
Your pocketbook's going to take a hit. Also, if they're just allowing you to have their things, then I mean that's something that could be really good for a lot of different reasons. I think if someone stuck me in like a rec center,
yeah.
Then you just like shoot hoops or whatever whole time.
You got vending machine food, but it's okay. It's just one day.
We don't need to worry about that.
You have Gatorade.
Maybe get a workout in.
Yeah.
Go there and be like, how long can I walk on the treadmill? 7 hours? We'll see if we can make it.
Do they leave the remote for the TVs? Because otherwise, oof.
Right. Yeah. Got to have some sort of.
You got to have something to go there. Okay. So that could be one. Is there another food establishment that you feel like, yes, I would like to be stuck there for 24 hours?
Well, I guess that, again, I'm asking a question like, I ain't got to cook the food, right? But I'm not saying like someone's got to stay there with me, but like almost like a Star Trek replicator, like, oh, I'd like a McGriddle, and then it pops up.
Michael Kirby tweets in, and this goes back to what I referenced to you, John, earlier with how does this work? Like I need the pyramid of success for Buc-ee's and how this happens.
Right.
Michael tweets in, has he looked into employment at Buc-ee's? I would run a car wash for $125,000 a year.
Oh,
they do,
and they do have this sign out. I've seen it before, and so he adds a photograph of it. Cashier, gift, maintenance, warehouse, grocery stocker, $16 an hour. Food service, car wash, $19 an hour. Team lead, $18 to $21 an hour. Department manager, $23 to $31 an hour. Full time, so 35 to 50 hours. No experience necessary. Let's throw you right in there. Assistant general manager, $100K. Car wash manager, $125,000. Food service manager, $125 to $175 a year.
Okay. Yeah,
general manager, $150 to $225. Now, on top of that, healthcare, part-time available, plus $2 an hour for overnight.
Ugh.
Also, 401k, 100% match up to 6%. 3 weeks paid time off. Use it, cash it, or roll it.
That's actually not bad. Like they take care of their employees.
Not at all. No,
the rolling for time off would be incredible.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Or even the cash out.
No, the rolling, I mean, imagine working there for 10 years.
And then take a year off. Yeah.
Take a year.
All right. See you on 35.
See y'all next year.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Oh.
Home.
I saved it up. I'm done.
That's wild.
Marshall Gibb tweets in, imagine Crystal for 24 hours. Burgers, Chili's, yikes. Once again, I think I just added plural to that, not the restaurant, the actual chili. I'm not sure what I'm doing today with my S's or lack of S's.
Although you could sleep at Crystal because no one be there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's quiet.
It depends on, is there a, who's the country singer that's always getting in trouble?
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah, if there's a Morgan Wallen concert in town, about 2-3 a.m., it'd be busy.
I know that.
Is there an LSU Alabama game?
That Hoover one still stays empty.
That's because of the hours in which you pass it.
No, I've passed when sun's been down.
I know, but I just think that they're, depending on what's happening, the population can increase quickly. And that's probably the population you don't want to be in there for. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say this. I'm just going to go throw it out. Similar to kind of what John said with Waffle House, like, where do you even get comfortable?
You can't.
You can't clean a Crystal. You can't.
No.
It's almost kind of similar to Waffle House, but I accept it and I go and I take my kids. It's fine. But like, where are you going to you're not laying down in a Crystal, literally. No. You're not, nowhere. And it's probably going to be dicey on just getting comfortable sitting down.
Right.
Being like, I'm going to lean over here on this. Like, no.
There's literally no room for it. It's either stools or the tiny ass booths.
Just don't know how you would do that. David tweets in, got to run on a treadmill and pick the worst TV show that you hate to have to watch in the whole 2 seasons of it. Because like he's saying, the remote's not going to be like you're going to be stuck watching Dr. Ruth or something.
Ugh. That Kelly Clarkson show or something.
E. Robinson tweets in, he's got like the cylinder of Clorox wipes. They go where I go. I'm not carrying all those on a plane. I have the little pouch.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
But you can get I was going to say, you can get the cylinder on an airplane because I feel like they confiscate that.
Right.
The Young Hipster tweets in, I saw 2 guys in full-on princess dresses that had to run the Disney Princess 10K in February because they lost their fantasy league.
10K?
That is a great punishment. However, there's no way
No, that's
a 10K.
If y'all are good with me just walking most of it because I'm not jogging it,
God.
that's just not happening.
That seems unfair.
That's physically not possible.
That's brutal
for me personally. I mean, Dan Strickland tweets in, wait, stuck in a Target for 24 hours? Is Jennifer Connelly there like in Career Opportunities?
Yeah, but if that's the case, then you're going to have to worry about the McDermott brothers robbing you.
I have not seen that film.
I haven't seen the tape.
She still had it, although it's like 91.
Doesn't anymore?
No, she still does, but that was one of those, okay.
That's not the one where the mannequin comes to life, is it?
No,
or is that called Mannequin?
That's Mannequin, yeah. Or Mannequin
That's
2.
a dumb movie.
Very much so.
Walker Hayes tweets in, there's a reason why Waffle Houses are cold. Seats are hard and no Wi-Fi TVs. Get in, get out, 20 minutes is their goal. Fair.
Well,
why even put a jukebox in there?
Yeah, that's kind of on them then.
I have seen a couple with TVs. The problem is now a lot of times you're waiting when you go in for a seat.
Yeah.
Louis Jarman tweets in, heard the Star Trek reference at John Saber and sounded like Run DMC 6. Run DM 6 may be headed to Leeds and filling out an application. I mean, listen, that's once again, I need to see your pyramid of success here because I need to know how you're paying car wash managers $125,000 a year.
Right.
And they're paying cashiers, I think, $50K about.
$16 an hour? I can't do the math on that. Y'all can try to do it. I don't even know what that is.
33,
what is minimum wage now?
$7.25.
I thought it was higher than that, but I don't know.
It is other places, not here.
I was alive at a time when
it's 5 something.
Going over 5 was a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Now we're 7.
I remember it went to 7, and it's still there. Yeah.
Man, if you made $5 an hour working when I was a kid, like you were
breaded. Big bang.
Couldn't tell me nothing. I will say from the car wash perspective, and they are installing the one at the Athens Buc-ee's. It's like a mega car wash. It's not some of these little dinky ones you see around here. And I will say now we have all these stupid things on Twitter, like a thread of whatever, why aliens live in the ocean, a thread. Like I saw this stupid one on Saturday because I had a lot of time in the airport Saturday, 13 hours in 2 New York airports. Why NASA quit searching the ocean in 2008 or 2018, whatever it was. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do it. You get to the third one, you're like, what did I just do to myself? This is so stupid.
Have you seen the 100 men versus one gorilla?
I'm not even.
No, it's crazy.
It's not crazy. It's stupid.
People are dumb.
Yes. Exactly. He'll be in and out in 10 minutes.
I think my answer would be even now at my age, would be an arcade.
Gotta be good.
Yeah. Like a Dave and Buster's.
But you would
No,
have
it's not a Dave and Buster's because
like
I'd go
actual-
broke there.
Oh, so you're spending your own money.
Well,
If you're stuck in an arcade, you should be able to find a way to get yourself credits.
Right.
I think that.
Or
yes.
break into the machine. And, like, remember when, I probably shouldn't admit this either. There was a certain game at Diamond Gyms that was technically unlocked all the time, and we knew how to open it.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little latch, and you just went.
Yeah, just go. Yeah, that's all you got to. Yeah.
Oh, 172 credits.
Yeah.
We will be playing for 7 hours. Don't know if they ever knew that we knew that, but we did.
But I know they have like bars and places, whatever, that've got like the old school cabinet arcade games. And if you give me like a place full of that, and if each like thing was still a quarter, I'd be willing to do that. Like, all right, one life or one game, whatever is a quarter. All right, I'm willing to do it because I know there's a new place like downtown that's got that. Like, if it's just 1 quarter per, I'm willing to shell out for that because I'm like, all right, I can keep myself occupied for 24 hours.
Right.
I could find a way to play X-Men, the video game, for a couple hours.
What is the? I think you're going to get carpal tunnel.
I mean, I grew up in an arcade. I probably already have it.
No, I'm like to the point where you're not going to be able to do anything. Just because you haven't done that in so long. So after 2 hours of like moving a joystick and hitting buttons, I think your wrist is going to be done.
That's where specialization comes in. You don't just play that. You go and play some Golden Tee. You move your wrist in multiple directions. You play like
if
a
it were
T2
Dave and Buster's,
game.
I would be on the football game and Papa Shot for hours.
Oh yeah.
Just trying to set all the records.
But if you're stuck there overnight, that's a mortgage payment.
I'll be like, let's figure this skee ball thing out once and for all. How do you get into the 100 up there on the top corner? I mean, I
think that'd be fun because you could play Mario Kart too. It's like, all right.
Yeah. A couple of racing games.
Giant Fruit Ninja.
Oh yeah.
Giant Fruit Ninja.
I mean, they got some stupidity in there.
Yeah, you be active.
All them TVs too.
Well, now they have the virtual reality. My son, that's all he wanted to do is the virtual reality thing. I'm like, we're not doing that. First off, it's going to take you 45 minutes to get set up on it. We're not doing it. Go throw footballs again. Go throw skee ball at the cage. My 5-year-old throws the skee balls overhand. The people next to him do not appreciate it at all. Sorry. There's no rules. Where are the rules posted for skee ball that it cannot be thrown overhand?
Hadn't seen them.
They're not there. Therefore, have at it, kid.
Same for free throws in NBA. You're welcome to shoot granny style.
Keep chucking them. That's just the way that it goes. I'm trying to think if there another restaurant that I would want to be stuck in. Like you kind of think like a Cheesecake Factory just to say, I want to try all those things.
You get a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have some kind of variety. Otherwise, I think you just like if it's a pizza place, you have the and then you're okay, we had it. Like what else is there? Do I really want to go something else? But I got to know how a Buc-ee's food service manager makes 175.
Should have asked David.
Well, I don't feel like he probably got into that. How much difficult does team lead and department manager become? See, I do feel like that would be number one. If you're team lead or department manager, think about how spread out everybody is.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not like maybe in the middle grill section where the fudge and they actually put the sandwiches out. But I mean, that's like a whole restaurant over to the side.
Yeah.
That thing's bigger than a Chili's. So that's a lot of, you got to, like, imagine being the person, I don't know where, like department manager of fuel.
Ooh, okay. I feel like you'd be busy quite a bit.
That's 2 miles you're covering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could have somebody just way over in the northeast section that knows nobody's around there, just doing nothing.
The team leader, department manager of like the shirt wall. All you got to do is just go in there. All right, let me make sure the shirts are all right. We're good.
I feel like you have to have a department manager just for gummies.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Man.
It's a giant wall or drinks. Because not only do you have an entire sidewall of coolers.
Yeah.
You also have
the fountain area.
Yeah, almost another giant wall of fountain drinks, of which they have the super versatile fountain drinks.
Right. That's a pain in the butt to maintain too, and that's not including coffee and tea that you have to. Oh yeah, that's intense.
Now I could see where that department manager could get old in a hurry.
Meanwhile, you're the team lead of jerky, and you're just sitting around like you're a special teamer or something. All right, I'll just put out more jerky.
You put me in a Buc-ee's for 24 hours. Jerky is towards the bottom of the list of things that I'm looking forward to trying. I'm going to try every flavor yogurt pretzel you got. I'm going to try every flavor of fudge that you got. I'm going to try all the different sandwiches, fries, different things that come with that. Then they have all the little concoctions that they, like he was talking about, key lime pie in a cup. I'm going to try that. Yeah. You got all the different ice creams. You got all the different other things that they jam into the little cups. Like they have cookie dough in cups. We got to try a couple of those.
It's right there.
Jerky is going to be almost dead last on my list of
Which
things.
Which is why I say
try.
that department head, like that's the job to be, because ain't nobody in your section.
Well, there are certain people that love it and have it every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, jalapeno spice salsa jerky.
But you ain't going to be busy.
Oh, they got pineapple jerky.
You won't be busy like the fudge people.
No, fudge never stops.
Yeah.
It literally never stops. Nor should it, because they just give it out.
Yeah.
Did you want to try the Oreo cream strawberry banana? Yeah, I did, actually. I need to see if that's good or not. Can you cut me a giant hawk of it? Yep. Here, take it. Thanks. All right, we'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Tuesday, April 29th, 8:41 a.m. right here on Jocks 94.5. Staying with our Buc-ee's theme. Some of you are texting in No one has called in 800-239-9569. I would just love to hear from someone who is employed by that works there, could give us an idea of kind of how this all operates. E. Robinson tweets in, damn it, at Cole Cubelic, the cylinder stays in the car, the packet in the luggage. It was just an extra. But I get it. That's okay.
Well, stays in the car? That won't they?
The
won't
big
they dry
cylinder.
up?
Yeah. No.
Huh, okay.
No, because I have the like Armor All car wipes to stay in the car because it's not technically my vehicle.
Okay.
And I don't want Royal to have to deal with my children when I turn it back in. And so that thing gets wiped down on a very regular basis.
Okay.
Because my kids, it's as everyone with kids understands, the car is just like an extra trash can for all of their junk. It's just the way that it works. All right, what are people texting in about Buc-ee's, Damien?
Jimmy texted in. He says there's a reason why they pay so well. It's because you work like a dog. Supposedly you get 1 5-minute standing break for your entire shift, 8 hours or 12 hours. It doesn't matter. It's also why their turnover is so high. Burnout is real. But I'm salty because I never got a call back and my resume is impeccable. I'll send it to y'all if you don't believe me.
I don't need the resume. I believe you. I am curious why they didn't call you back. I mean, maybe they just didn't need anybody at that time. But if the turnover thing is real too, then I'm assuming they're constantly looking for people.
Maybe that's why they have a sign of their salaries.
Is that legal to only give someone a 5-minute break on an 8-minute shift? I don't know how that works. I don't know what the ramifications are anymore. Because I remember like all the smokers like fought back and like, we need to go outside.
Back when I was working retail, I feel like if you worked 8 hours or more, you had to have a 30-minute lunch break. If it was under that, you didn't have to. They didn't have to make you have a lunch break.
Just a 5-minute standing break?
Yeah. That's
standing. What is that? Legally standing? Like I can't sit on the curb?
Right. Like,
no.
Like you
Stop
got
it with the standing. Come on. Here's the other part of that. Like, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to not work you? Think about what we're saying right there. Man, they actually make you work when you show up.
You don't say.
Screw Buc-ee's, man. They actually make you do stuff and stuff. I'll never work at Buc-ee's. They make you do things. They work you to death. How much death can you be worked to at a Buc-ee's, honestly? Now, if you're like making me clean out the fryers and changing the grease, I've actually done that before.
That is not pleasant.
I did that at Western Supermarket.
Yeah.
And also did that at Sneaky Pete's. It's not a fun chore. Cleaning any kitchen area that produces mass amounts of food, not enjoyable at all. Because the thing is, it's kind of like with Waffle House. Once grease gets involved, the floors never get clean. They're never clean. It doesn't matter how much you scrub them. It doesn't matter how much you mop them. And I'll give you this challenge. Like any place like that, just go stand on the tile floor and try to do the splits. Because I'm going to tell you, you're going all the way down. You're going all the way down. So you better be Jean-Claude Van Damme. You can't clean it. It stays sticky and slick forever. It is forever greased, always. Forever and ever. All right, what else are people saying?
Heath texts in and says, Buc-ee's monitors the parking lot all the time. Cars left over an hour get towed.
I'm not buying that.
I've seen the signs. I don't know if they actually do, but I've seen it out there. Like, but that feels like, I don't know, maybe that's how they make their money.
How would they make money on? They own the
probably
towing service?
Yeah.
No.
That makes sense.
I'm going to bite my tongue on towing services because I think someone probably listened to the show, but I got nothing for y'all.
JJ texts in and says, I talked to him.
Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Is there a profession on this earth?
Oh boy.
And I'm gonna apologize ahead of time because I'm gonna offend some tow truck drivers right now. And I'm sorry. And I may need you again at some point. But is there a profession that was well intended upon its inception at one point in time that has pulled a full Anakin Skywalker and gone to the dark side?
The ones
and now is just a complete and utter literal racket on this earth.
The ones that have become predatory. When the car breaks down and I need it towed, yes.
Right.
That we're not talking about you. We're talking about the ones that...
I assume they all still do both. It's just that's 1.1% of their business.
Yep. The other 98% are the ones that, like at the parking lot at Iron City, where you got to go up and pay the little device or whatever, and the device is broken, so you can't pay. And as soon as you walk away,
you mean the one that 18 seconds after your runs out, your car is gone?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The one in which there is a class action lawsuit currently filed in the city of Birmingham on?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah,
Places
that one?
like that. Yes.
Oh.
Got nothing for you.
And the one that I was yelled at and told not to step any further into the parking lot until I paid and didn't take Amex? Yeah, y'all, not a single thing for you. Give me a more well-intended profession that has gone full Darth Vader over time. OnlyFans? Maybe be the other one.
All right, you win. Never mind. That was better. I thought mine was all right, but nope, that one wins.
I don't know. Was OnlyFans well intended at some point? I don't know. Like, was there a positive potential outcome that was supposed to be there, and now we've gotten to where we are?
If they wanted to go on that, wouldn't have called it fans.
No.
I viewed the inception of, and I was lit. I've never been on it. I don't even really know like what it does or whatever. I view it initially. What is the thing that the people got paid for to call you on your birthday? What was that? What's that thing called? That
like Cameo.
Cameo.
Yeah.
That was what I thought it was when it came out.
Yeah,
like,
I think that's yes.
Like, oh, okay. Like people want to see what John Candy does around the house. Like he leaves his camera on and like he pets his cats and like he cooks bacon, whatever. Like, okay, cool. Like that's kind of what I thought it was originally intended to be.
I think that's what it was. But one person, one time was like, hey.
Who was the person that sent it south?
Hear me out.
I don't know. And can you imagine that conversation with like the board of trustees? Like, okay, she's doing this.
We got to shut it down.
Shut that down. Oh, no.
Hold on.
But this is what we're bringing in. Like,
everyone else we have is a combined 27,000 subscribers. She has 198,000. Let it go.
Oh.
Let's take a vote.
What have we done?
All in favor of allowing this? Aye. Shareholders agree. We will allow it. Completely to the dark side.
Oh, wasn't expecting that.
The Darth Vader breathe starts.
Yeah. That one wins. Yeah.
Immediately. All right, we'll be back after this. I wasn't really intending on having a, entire conversation about Buc-ee's today, but apparently that's where the people want to go, and that's what the feedback is so far. I have gotten a couple of different texts in about it. One from a listener in Texas: Buc-ee's extremely profitable, 70% sales profits generated inside store. They own all the land they sit on. Massive fuel brokerage business with outsized profit margins, even at discount to get you inside. Typical store does about $1 million per day in sales. Grad school associate on executive team. So here's the thing. I don't doubt that they make money. I don't think they'd be putting them up everywhere like they are now. And I don't think that we would be talking about them, as this profitable. But here's my thing, is how. It's pretty simple. Like, I want to know how they do it. So I did find a Forbes article on Buc-ee's and just kind of talking about some of the ways that they do things. Now, this is pre-Alabama and pre-Florida, I believe. So this is from 2017.
Oh, okay.
So they cleared $275 million.
Oh, that was back then. Oh.
Yeah. Arch Applin III,
Okay, yeah.
And Don Wassick targeted an affluent market segment. They do not discount and they don't allow commercial trucks at their gas pumps. Fat margins with lots of private label merchandise, taking advantage of years of low interest rates to finance an expansion that's designed to take power across the Southeast.
Wait, they don't have a big rig section? I could have sworn they did.
Then latest is now under construction off a new highway interchange in Katy, Texas, half hour from Houston. It'll have more than 100 gas pumps, 52,000 square feet of retail store.
Oh, wow.
So 24 hours, 365 days a year. It says in the article that the bathrooms are the main attraction.
That's probably, yeah. I don't know if it's main, but it's up there.
I still need to know how. Being open that long, that much, paying that much?
Whew.
Matt Miller talking NFL draft next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Glad you're with us. 9 o'clock hour, number 3 underway. It is Tuesday, April 29th. We have talked Buc-ee's. We have talked being trapped in one for 24 hours. We have talked Caps Lock. We have talked NFL Draft. We'll get to transfer portal a little bit later in this hour. We have some different things to discuss around that. And obviously, we'll talk to Matt Miller here in just a moment about the NFL Draft and his thoughts on it. First, I'll tell you about your CBD store. If you're looking for products to help your routine, you want to feel better, sleep better, if that arthritis is getting to you, your CBD store has products that can help. If you have a pet that's having issues with arthritis around your home, your CBD store can help. Stop by today to see what the largest brick-and-mortar CBD retailer in the world can do for you. First store to have USDA certified organic oil supplements, better skincare, better gut health, all at your CBD store. Check out one of their 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleaver, Trussville just off 459, and now downtown in 5 Points, your CBD store where good health hits home. The NFL Draft obviously had a lot of twists and turns. I gave you my big maybe teams a little bit earlier in the show. Some teams that I feel like are winners in this year's NFL Draft. Some teams whose drafts I look at and I say, I just feel like at the end of the day, no matter what happens, that's going to end up being a W. And I'm going to look back at that draft and say, yeah, that was one that is going to be a plus. Now, maybe not A++, or maybe not the best draft that any team had in 2025, but Buffalo, Carolina, Dallas, Kansas City, and both Los Angeles teams I thought had really good drafts. Now, your drafts that I kind of look at and say, these are maybe a little bit above the others. These are the ones that I would consider kind of big winners. I would go Chicago, Cincinnati, and Cleveland as far as some of your bigger winners in this year's draft. Like, I mean, first and foremost, you look at what Chicago goes out and does. You take your franchise quarterback last year. You know who that's going to be. Caleb Williams is going to be the guy that you sort of build around and that you kind of look at moving forward as the face of the franchise. So what do you want to do? You want to try to make his life easier. You want to make it a little bit better for him to be able to do different things and find ways to win games. I think the Bears went out and did that. And you take guys that are going to be able to protect him. You take guys that are going to be able to give him different options. And you start with Colston Loveland, who adds some physicality and is a guy that I think can help stretch the field a little bit, give you a viable option receiving the football, but then also at the same time, somebody that you look at and is going to be able to be pretty good in line from a blocking perspective, be somebody that physically is not going to be any sort of an issue. And then I think, too, you bring in Luther Burden. Not only do you bring in Luther Burden, but you get him with the 7th pick in the 2nd round, and all of a sudden he's a guy that can be a bit of a game changer. He's a guy that you can look at as someone that can work the middle of the field. I think he can go outside. I think the catch and run stuff that's becoming so popular in today's, not just NFL football, but college football, he can help you there. Now, Ozzie Trapillo, tackle out of Boston College, I think has some good football in him. He's a massive human. I would like to see him play a little bit lighter. I think he's a little bit of a lumberer, but I also think that when he gets his hands on you, like, it's over. Like, he physically can dominate you. He's just not very twitchy. Lower body flexibility's got to improve. Like, his ankle and hip flexibility would help him a lot. But he's got a clean pass set. He's been pretty good in pass protection. So somebody who I do think can help. You get Shamar Turner late in the 2nd round, who is somebody who I do think can help you and somebody who I do think can come in and be somebody that's going to, be a viable option at defensive line that gives you somebody that I don't say is going to like consistently wreck shop or be a guy that's just always out there, dominating. But I think a viable option. And then you get Zach Frazier out of UTSA at corner, Luke Newman at offensive tackle from Michigan State, which might be a little bit of a stretch. But Kyle Monaghan, running back out of Rutgers, is a 7th round guy that actually might be able to help your football team. Another team that I look at as a win would be the Cincinnati Bengals. Absolutely, I'm going to tell you, as a Steelers fan, I absolutely hate the Bengals draft. Shamar Stewart in the 1st. Now, I know there's a lot of agent stuff, and there's a lot of how some things were handled pre-draft. I don't really think are all his decisions, but the dude can play football, and he can play inside, he can play outside. He's versatile, he's quick, he's powerful. And then Demetrius Knight, who you guys have heard me talk about on this show, was like one of the best human beings on earth. And he's 232 pounds and can run and can play linebacker. And is a former quarterback that like just knows everything, like ran that defense at South Carolina. Just a big time player. And then you get Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia, who's physically gifted, has played some good football. Jalen Rivers has played some good football out of Miami. So it's two offensive linemen that can help you out. So you're helping protect Joe Burrow. Barrett Carter's got good reps, linebacker out of Clemson. And you get Taj Brooks as a steal in the 6th round, an absolute steal in the 6th round at running back. Another guy that's going to be able to help your offense. I thought the Bengals had a really good draft. Now, this probably should lean a little bit more towards the might be, won't be drafts. But, you know, I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the Cleveland Browns still had a good draft. Like, take the quarterback stuff out of it. Just take the quarterback stuff out of it. I think Cleveland had a really good draft. Mason Graham's a player. He's going to help you day one. Quinshon Judkins and Dylan Sampson, you've got your 1-2 punch at running back for 4 or 5 years. And then you get a Harold Fannin at tight end that whoever your quarterback is going to be able to help. You can flex him in. You can put him in line. You know, he's going to be able to beat people in one-on-ones. He's got a big catch radius. We'll move him to 920, you said. So just go there. That's my fault. When scheduling goes poorly live on air. And then you take Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what that ends up being. I don't know what that ends up looking like. I don't know exactly what that is. Do I think that Shedeur is going to be a starter one day? No, I don't. Do I think Dylan Gabriel's a starter one day? No, I don't. Maybe you find a viable backup. But here's one question that I asked Friday night when we were doing our draft show up in Bristol. And I think it's a fair question. When you look at kind of where we are with the NFL draft, have we fiscally reset our brains to have a full understanding of kind of like what it all is? Because I think sometimes we look at, okay, so we have a quarterback go in the 1st round, right? And we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. And we don't know exactly if he's going to be our guy or how long he's going to be our guy. But you could honestly do it every year and not handcuff your franchise. Now, maybe not in the top 5, but you could take a quarterback in the 1st or 2nd every year and your franchise is never going to crumble financially. Because what did we hear on Friday night? Like, you're not going to hear Greg and I talking about this. You're definitely not going to hear me talking about this. I had people tweeting me that Cowboy fans were pissed off that they took Tyler Booker. Yeah, but we didn't want him. Yeah, but Cowboy fans are mad. How are you going to take a guard at 12? Have you seen him play? By the way, I was the one right here that intentionally raised my hand and said Quinn Nelson should have been the number 1 pick in the draft. He was the best player in the draft. So once again, it's like when Mike Tannenbaum came on last week and we went back and forth about where Booker should come off the board and Gray Zabel and the whole thing. Tyler Booker excels further past other people at his position in this draft than maybe any other position. Travis Hunter might be the only other one, but you're automatically counting him doing another whole position, like a whole nother thing. So he almost doesn't even count. He's like the unicorn of the draft. Do I think Tyler Booker does more things better than Will Campbell does at tackle? Yes. Than Abdul Carter at edge? Yes. And here's the thing. Ashton Genty might do a lot of great things at running back. Does he excel that much further at those than Omarion Hampton? All of them. I don't think so. I don't believe so. Like Tetaior McMillan, the things that he does better than the other receivers in this draft is physically be bigger. And I'm not saying he's not a good receiver. I love the kid. I think he's going to be a great pro. You could say Tyler Warren, but he didn't even go ahead of Colson Loveland. And also some of the things that we're talking about are snapping the football and throwing the football. How much of that's going to do in the NFL? I don't know. Maybe Anthony Richardson, when he taps out, Tyler Warren can throw the ball for him or play quarterback. But give me another player in this draft that does more things better than any other player at their position than Tyler Booker. So you can't be mad about him going at 12. And also financially where things are, it doesn't matter anymore. You're not handcuffing your franchise to take Kenneth Grant at 13 if he's your number one defensive tackle on your board, and that is your number one need. But people look at the Dolphins and say, what are we doing? You don't have to take all the quarterbacks, all the receivers, and all the running backs and all the left tackles with the first 20 picks anymore. It's not how it works. You can reset your roster every single year through the draft because you're not handing someone a check for $50 million and then giving them another, whatever it was, $38, $42 a year guaranteed. It's not the deal. So if you want to stretch on Jackson Dart at 25, you can do that because it doesn't matter financially where he is. He's going to be slotted ahead of I'm trying to think of the number that was thrown out on our broadcast about like where some of the first round positions. Now, Genty's a little bit off base because like what Genty's going to be guaranteed to get, he's going to be like the 11th highest paid running back in the NFL. But like Jackson Dart is going to be like the 43rd highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And he just went in the first round. 43rd. So I just, it's some of the people that are talking about certain positions and certain places and can you stretch on this year? Yes, you can. Because financially, it's not where it was 10 years ago. And I just don't know if we've rewired our brains to fully understand that yet. That we have a full understanding of it's okay if we do this. I mean, there are certain people that cover the NFL through the draft that will tell you, you should draft a quarterback every year. Every single year. Maybe in the 7th, maybe in the 2nd, maybe in the 1st, maybe in the 4th. But you should take one every year. Because let's think about this from a Cleveland perspective right here, okay? So Cleveland goes in and they've got their quarterback room that we've talked about. And let's say you're going to allow Joe Flacco to be your starter and Kenny Pickett wins the number 2 job. And we're just going to take Watson and whatever. But let's say you go out and in 2 preseason games, Shedeur Sanders goes 25 of 32 for 412 yards, 3 touchdowns and no picks. You don't think people are knocking on your door to bring him to their team? And what if you could then trade Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel for a 3rd or a 2nd? Because what's going to happen in the preseason? Quarterbacks are going to get hurt. Quarterbacks are going to retire. And all of a sudden there's going to be a need. And with that need is going to come desperation. So when that desperation comes, you don't think people are going to give you a draft pick a round ahead of where the value is just to get him on their roster now? Of course they are. Of course they are. So it's not even just to say they're going to potentially be our starter one day. You also have the aspect of we might be able to help further better our roster by actually getting rid of this player. All we got to do is bring him in, groom him a little bit, make him look good in our offense, put a couple of little nuggets out there for reporters that we love what we're seeing in practice, and he's been a great individual, and he's been a great teammate, and then all of a sudden somebody knocks on our door week 2 of the preseason and says, hey, would you guys let him go for a 4th and a 7th? You bet your bottom dollar we would, because he's never going to play for us. Thank you. And then you package those picks with one of your other picks for a late 1st or an early 2nd the next year, and you get a Luther Burden or an Omarion Hampton. And now a guy who's really helping your team comes in. You got to play the game a little bit in all this. It can't just be what exactly is this pick at this time for this guy and he's going to do right now for our franchise. There's so much more big picture than that, but we get so consumed with the one pick at one time. How can you take a guard at 12? Well, when he's the best guard there, you can. Or how about this? When he's maybe the best player there. I mean, y'all tell me. After Tyler Booker, you could have made an argument for Tyler Warren being a better player, Jaylen Walker being a better player, but are there some concerns about how their games are going to translate to the NFL? Let me tell you one concern that I do not have about Tyler Booker. His game transferring to the National Football League. It will. There's no part of his arm length, base, weight, strength, film, power. There's no adjustment necessary. There is no if. There's no question mark. Colson Loveland, same way, at 10. Oh, tight end at 10, he's not even fast. His game will transfer. Shamar Stewart at 17. You know what his game's going to do? Transfer to the NFL. Why? He's 290 pounds with twitch. And when he gets his hands on you, he can run you over. There's no concern. So because it's not all this guaranteed money, you know there's concern with James Pierce at 26. But you're at 26, and it's not going to handcuff your franchise, so you take a flyer on it. And you say, well, I could see that. If it doesn't go well, it was the 26th pick. We'll be okay. We'll ask Matt Miller about all this and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Tuesday, April 29th, 9:19 a.m. Matt Miller of ESPN joins us. Matt, I apologize for the confusion. It was my fault. I put one time down for the guys here in studio, and I had you down via text at 9:20. But I really do appreciate the time. Another great job by you covering the NFL draft. Obviously, the Cleveland Browns were the story. But here's the unfortunate part, in my opinion, and I want to get your thoughts on it. I thought they absolutely crusted this draft outside of the quarterback position. And based on where they got their quarterbacks, it's almost a who cares. Like, I mean, Dylan Gabriel, is he a stretch in the third? Probably. But I don't even care about the quarterbacks. Like Judkins and Sampson, you got your 1-2 punch at running back for the next couple of years. Schweisinger, I worry about the size a little bit, but if you're going to use him as kind of see ball, get ball, and a pressure guy and like just kind of go cause problems, he can help you there. Harold Fannon's a move tight in with the giant catch radius, and Mason Graham's a problem day one. I thought Cleveland had a great draft no matter what you think of their quarterback situation.
Oh, I'm with you. And I was looking at this yesterday and thought, okay, let's go back in time 1 week and say the Browns are going to leave this draft with Shedeur Sanders, Mason Graham, Carson Schweisinger, Judkins, Fannin, Sampson, and they picked up Dylan Gabriel. You would have said, how? How'd they pull that off, right? I mean, for some folks, I wasn't in on this, but for some people, Shedeur Sanders was a top 5, top 10 player, as was Mason Graham. So if we're going to be true to our evaluations, and there's a lot we don't know, right? There's a lot that goes on behind closed doors that we don't know about. But just looking at where these players were evaluated on tape, this was a home run draft. And I'm with you. My favorite picks were the idea to pair Judkins. I can't believe Dylan Sampson was available late in the 4th round. Couldn't believe that one. I think that the Browns might have a couple steals of the draft type picks. That's going to be one of them. But to have that 1-2 punch now is really exciting, especially for Kevin Stefanski's offense. These guys are tailor-made for what he wants to do.
I asked this question when I was in studio in Bristol Friday night. We were covering it to the panel, and I discussed it here on the show today also. For some of these picks, like the people that are going nuts about Shedeur or even Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd or the 5th, and then some of what people were saying about some of the first-round picks, like people that were still upset about Tyler Booker being taken where he was, or Colson Loveland being taken where he was, or Kenneth Grant being taken where he was. Do you think that maybe not just all the draft analysts, but just in general, have we rewired our brains enough to fully understand the new financial structure of the draft, and that when it really comes down to it, it kind of doesn't matter anymore? You can reset through the draft almost every year because there is no financial handcuff moving forward outside of what, the top 5 maybe?
And even then, it's really not, right? I mean, because we see it consistently. Go back to the 2021 draft. How quickly did the Jets move on from Zach Wilson? How quickly did the Niners move on from Trey Lance? No one was talking about their salaries. It was like, you know what? These guys didn't pan out. Let's move on. Let's wash our hands and move on. And there was no financial ramification of that. So I don't know that we have rewired our brains. And maybe this is why, I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever be like a quote unquote TV guy, because I just don't get upset about draft picks. When a team makes a pick that doesn't align with like my view of the player, I try to learn from that. I try to look at it and say, okay, well, what did I miss? I didn't think Kenneth Grant was the 13th best player in this draft. So I'm like, okay, what did the Miami Dolphins see that I didn't? And then over time, we'll see how that pans out, And I do try to take a cumulative view of the draft of, okay, if a team takes a player in round 1 that I feel like is a reach, what if in round 2 they steal a player, like we were just talking about with the Cleveland Browns? Does the value start to even out then? And so I think, it's probably more entertaining on TV to get pissed off and scream about, I can't believe they took my 35th player at 13. They're going to fire Chris Greer. But I really try to be like, okay, wait, what can I learn from this? How can I be better at evaluating? How can I be better at, I see my job as being the bridge between the league and the fans. So how can I better explain to fans what the NFL just did? I always try to look at it through that lens.
That's it. And I think it's a great approach. And I did the same thing with Kenneth Grant. And then I started looking down and I said, okay, well, you had Shamar Stewart there, who's kind of an in-out guy, maybe a little bit of both. Walter Nolan, I think there were some effort concerns. And he's kind of not your anchor D tackle like Kenneth Grant can be. Okay, so then you're weighing him up against Derek Harmon possibly, or Tyleik Williams, who I think has some motor concerns and pad level concerns, unlike Grant. So if that's who you're weighing him against and that's your position of need, well, take him off the board and you got your guy. So there were a couple of drafts,
Matt.
That's
such a great point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, such a great point, because I feel like fans, and I love fans. One of my favorite things to do, I think anyone who's followed me knows, I love just talking ball with fans. But sometimes we have this like creative player mentality of, well, our team needs a corner, we're going to draft one. There might not be one. And to your point, like you might need a 3 technique, but Walter Nolan with some entitlement and maturity issues probably don't want to put him in South Beach. That's probably, that's probably not the best match for him. So I think you got to look at it. There's so much that goes into where the fit is, and there's not always that perfect player that aligns with what your team's vision and needs are.
Okay, so we talked to Arizona just a little bit, and Walter Nolan there, because I don't know if Scottsdale's a whole lot better. But however, I had 3 drafts that I look at as literal coin flip drafts. They could end up being incredible, or I think they could end up being, we're going to look back in 4 years and being like, goodness gracious, what were they doing? Arizona was one of those drafts. We'll get to the other 2 in a moment. And the good news is for these teams, I kind of think I see where they're going. And so I'm not really mad about sticking with your plan through the draft. But you just brought it up with Walter Nolan. Will Johnson's got the injury concerns. I don't think Jordan Burch is a true NFL edge. And I don't think he can play a lot lighter than he is. I think he could play a little heavier than he is. Cody Simon, to me, is kind of okay, go hurt this guy and go knock this guy down and go do that. Denzel Burke didn't have the year that we thought he was going to have. I love Hayden Conner, but I think physically he's a little bit limited. I love the way he plays. So you have kind of every one of these is kind of a, man, I can see the top end, but there's also maybe a little bit deeper floor than with some other picks. How would you view what Arizona did?
Yeah, I feel like Arizona every year they have a draft that's just like this. I mean, outside of, last year where they take the no-brainer and Marvin Harrison Jr., you're always kind of like, okay, well, if this player works out and if that player works out, and they've had multiple regimes, so it's not like that they've had the same general manager for 10 years. Will Johnson was my number 7 overall player, and obviously there's some medical concerns that factor into that, and some of those came out so late that I couldn't adjust my rankings because they'd already been handed in. But if the knee's good, if everything that has plagued him in the last year is good, he's a top 10 player. So I loved that one. I'm with you. Like, Burch does feel like a guy that's going to need developed. I didn't see him as like a plug and play fit with Jonathan Gannon. He's not really what Gannon has done in his past, because he is kind of that big edge, but he's probably going to have to play inside. I think it's one of those deals, like, he's so athletic, and he had good production. He really did. 3-year starter, good production, super athletic, but it's just, he's a tweener. And that has very much been their style out there for a long time is, we'll take the athlete and we'll develop him, we'll mold him. And I thought this was a team that needed another receiver. Like, you have Marvin Harrison. We think he's going to be a stud. And you have Trey McBride, who's a great tight end. But what else is there? Like, who else in this offense is scaring you to where you say, you know what? We really can't double Marvin Harrison because of this. It's Michael Wilson's a fine player, but he's not that guy. Greg Dortch isn't that guy. So I thought they needed to go a little bit more offensive heavy. You mentioned Hayden Conner. Hayden's going to be a good, solid player, but the interior of their offensive line needs a lot of work as well. So it was a head scratcher of a draft for me. I'm with you. Yeah.
Okay. The next one is the Atlanta Falcons. And there are more reasons maybe here to get excited about, but I just think you have to be realistic and say, I've said it on the show, I love Jalen Walker. I love the human. I love the player. I love everything about him. But you have to ask the question at 15, does he have a home? Is he going to be able to live on the edge? Is he going to be able to live off the ball? It's a fair thought, at least at that spot. James Pierce, there's production that's not there. There's times that you wonder about wanting to play football. The weight, how's that going to go? Now, do you see some Javon Curse there? Absolutely. Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, they will both come play in the box. They're both not afraid of contact. They will both come hit, but like I know, there are some coverage concerns, and Jack Nelson, I think, is just kind of a late stretch on, hey, can we hit on a tackle and maybe make him work for a few years? But it's like the upside here is tremendous, but there's also some coin flip of this might not work out here, or this guy might not be the one that we need. I love just saying, hey, our defense is going to be more athletic. We're going to have a couple train killers over there. Whether they can do everything we need them to do or not, they are at least going to see the ball and try to go attack it. I love that mindset, but where were you sort of on the Falcons draft?
So this is another, I love these conversations because fans are going to look at the Falcons draft. They're going to look at my big board and be like, oh my God, we got the number 5 player, X, Y, Z. The first 4 picks were really highly rated guys by me. So you're thinking, oh wow, we got 4 of Matt's top 100 or whatever. This is a great draft for us. But really, you only improved 2 position groups, which is hard for me. And I know their defense was bad, but their defense wasn't just 2 edge rushers and 2 safeties away from being good. So I would have rather spread the wealth and said, okay, Jalen Walker at 15, incredible value. But then you mortgage so much of your draft this year and next year to move up to get James Pierce, who does have, there's some character red flags. I guess they probably love the idea of him learning under Leonard Floyd, who was a high draft pick and can be that veteran. But I didn't see this team as, okay, we're 2 edge rushers and 2 safeties away, because you have Jesse Bates, who's one of the best safeties in the NFL. You have Jordan Fuller, who's a really solid, strong safety. So where does Xavier Watson, Billy Bowman fit on this depth chart? Even if you're going to run 3 safeties, one of those guys isn't seeing the field. You're not running 4, right? And neither of those guys has nickel corner experience or upside. So, and even at the edge position, they did need to get better as a pass rush, but they have Leonard Floyd, who's a veteran. And even if, you're going to work the rookies in as third down guys, you have Arnold Ebiketie, who's not bad on the other side. So they needed to get faster on defense, but Ebiketie was a 2nd round pick 3 years ago. He is in a contract year, so it probably doesn't bode well for his future in Atlanta right now. But I could have seen Jalen Walker because they needed a pass rusher and the value was there. But man, I thought the D-line needed some improvements. Inside linebacker, I thought they could have thrown a pick at. So it's kind of confusing the way that they decided to just attack 2 positions on defense.
Matt Miller, NFL draft expert, who you saw on coverage all weekend on ESPN covering the draft, did an amazing job. You've improved every year that you've been up there, I feel like, and I'm just proud to see your growth and see what you're doing there covering the draft. The third team that I have is sort of a coin flip team would be the Raiders. Ashton Genty's Ashton Genty, but you still spent number 6 on him with maybe the deepest running back class we've ever seen in the history of the draft. I love the kid, but it's the number 6 pick, and there were a ton of options. I think Jack Bech is an amazing football player. I think he will help you in a lot of different ways. I think he'll probably contribute on most of your teams. I think he just knows how to find space. His hands are super reliable. He's tough as nails. Obviously, he's got a little more to play for, so I'm a fan of bringing that one in. You get your length at corner with Darian Porter. And then I don't mind in the third saying, you know what, we'll take back-to-back tackles with Caleb Rogers, who needs some work, and Charles Grant, who's a project but has a ton of athletic ability. Like, his film's all over the place, but I can see where you would say he might turn into something great one day. Same thing with Thornton. I mean, Matt, we've been hearing these folk tales of how Deontay Thornton runs and catches for like 4 years. We've just never seen it because he's never on the field. Tonka Hemingway is as solid of a player in this draft. His ceiling is lower than a lot of D tackles, but like, you know exactly what you're going to get. He can give you reps at D tackle. And then you go Buc-ee's, who is the opposite of that. Will flash, can penetrate, disrupt, but consistency and like, does he really want to be a defensive lineman has always been my question. So, and then you go with a couple smaller school kids that I'm not sure make a huge difference here, but how did you see the Raiders draft? Because I kind of saw it again as, man, I could see this really being on the upside in 3 or 4 years. And I could also see us looking back and saying, what in the hell were you guys doing?
No, that's exactly it. And like with Genty and Beck and Besh, you're getting day one. They're going to help your team day one. Darian Porter is very new to corner. And this felt like Al Davis was back in the Raiders war room, like, hey, let's take the 6'4" corner who runs a 4-2 or 4-3 flat, excuse me. Let's take him and we'll develop him. But then you also think about Pete Carroll and the defenses that he had in Seattle. 6'3", 4-3 flat, that fits, right? That fits with Pete. But it's an upside player he's even one of the best special teams players in the NFL right out of the gate, because he blocked 4 punts and 1 field goal at Iowa State. So he's helping on teams day one. So I like that pick, and I'm with you. Like, to take the developmental tackles, and both Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant are both developmental guys. With the contract situation with Colton Miller, it makes a lot of sense to take a flyer on these dudes. And if you hit on a 3rd-round pick at tackle, you're so far ahead of the NFL in terms of money. We talk about like rookie quarterbacks and money positions. If you hit on a left tackle in the 3rd round, you are just playing with house money for 4 years. We can look at Kansas City with Trey Smith at right guard, even not even left tackle, but right guard, and how that's allowed them to do some other things financially. And now they're going to have to pay the piper on that one, and it's going to change the dynamics of that team. So there is a lot of upside here. I'm a JJ Buc-ee's fan. I know he's a 6th-round pick. That you're a stretch to make the team in the 6th round, but what that dude does at fullback and tight end and D tackle is so much fun. Time him a lot. Watching him make the transition from quarterback to wide receiver is going to be fun. And I'm a Cam Miller fan, just being around him at the East-West Shrine game. I think he's got a shot to make it as a good backup quarterback. But on surface, it's a 2-player draft and a lot of developmental guys.
All right, so finally, what did you feel about? I mean, Cam Ward had to be done. I don't feel like there was really an option there. Not a lot of people are going to put up an argument against it. What did you feel about what the Titans did after Cam Ward first overall?
So I didn't love it, and they were limited, right? Because the former regime traded the 3rd-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, and they didn't get a ton of return on investment there. I thought they needed to go wide receiver much earlier. Kamir DK in the 4th, Elike Omenyor in the 4th. Like they're both solid prospects. I think Gunnar Helm at tight end also in the 4th round could be a pretty big impact eventually. But going edge in the 2nd, I love Femi Oladejo. He's a really, really good player. He's an upside guy. I probably would have tried to flip it and go wide receiver there. Kevin Winston, if he hadn't had the ACL, I think we could have been talking about him as a top 40, top 50 pick. So they got a really good value as long as he's healthy. But I would have liked to have seen a little more of an effort to surround Cam Ward with some weapons earlier instead of waiting until the 4th round.
Saints also, we have a lot of Saints fans in our listening audience, so I wanted to get to them. I feel like they did a very good job of drafting and knowing probably exactly what you're going to get. I don't think there are going to be a ton of surprises in this draft. I don't know if the ceilings are a lot further potentially than maybe what they thought, but like Broughton's going to be solid inside. He had a really good year. Kelvin Banks is technically fundamentally super sound at tackle and has ability. We know what Danny Stutzman is. Like he could be, I feel like he could be Alex Elizondo 2.0 that you drafted out of Florida a couple of years ago, like just solid for 8 or 10 years, whatever it is. Devin Neal, it can help. I was kind of surprised that Diggs was there in the 7th with his length and athleticism. What did you think of what the Saints did?
Yeah, I liked it. I really did because it was a meat and potatoes draft. Banks is solid. Like you said, Broughton, solid. Tyler Shuck, you know exactly what you're getting because he's been in college for 6 years. Yeah, he's a grown man. This was it's one of those drafts like these are all dudes that performed at a high level at a major university. The smallest football program they drafted somebody from was, I guess you'd say, Kansas. Devin Neal was a dude for 3 years.
Yeah.
I had over 1,000 yards every year. So I like the mentality of, hey, we're a bad team. Let's draft highly productive football players from big programs instead of, we're a bad team. Let's take this gigantic swing and hope we hit on this player. And if we don't, well, we're all going to get fired probably. I think when you're bad, just draft good football players. And they did that. And they had a lot of picks. Every one of those guys they drafted, I think you could make the argument that they won on value. You get Stutzman and Riley in the 4th round. Like those are culture setters. Those are tough dudes on defense. So, the Saints had a lot of needs. They were never going to check all those in one draft, but I think they came out really, really solid here.
I kind of like what you said about culture setters too. It's like I said with the Falcons, there are certain teams that you kind of feel like you can see what they're doing. I kind of felt that way with the Giants. Like they have some question marks, but it's almost like they just said, bring as many MFers here as we can get. Like we know what Abdul Carter can do off the edge. Like Jackson Dart's as tough as nails, man. Like people don't know who Darius Alexander is, but when you watch him on film, like he shouldn't be playing at Toledo. Like the body type, the length, the way that he moves, and it might be only every now and then, but like he looks like an SEC D tackle going in the 1st round is what he looks like. We know Scadaboo's got that edge, could maybe just offer you a little something different. Like, do you give teams more credit when you can sort of see a theme and it sort of sticks together for maybe what the team needs overall?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And it's, like the Giants, it's like, oh my gosh, look at the toughness. I think with Philly, they always do such a good job of just hitting value. It's like every time Philly comes on the board, you're like, wait, that player shouldn't be available. Of course they're going to take him. The Ravens have made money for years doing that. I really like what New England did in terms of that, in terms of a theme. They addressed all their needs, but they got athletes. Will Campbell, incredibly athletic. Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Jared Wilson's one of the most athletic centers I've seen in a long, long time. They had it almost like they had a vision of, all right, we got to bring football into the 21st century. In Foxborough, we're going to get some speed. We're going to get some dudes and guys who are like high character, big time producers.
Is it weird that the only question mark I had about the Eagles draft was their 1st pick in this draft?
And right. With him, it's medicals, I would assume, right? Where it's both knees, both shoulders. But
I worry a little, Matt, just a little bit about sort of the read and react part of his game. Like when he knows where to go, he should not be able to run that fast at that size. And like physically, and he'll give you a little pass rush. I get that. But like you put that Vanderbilt game on, and there are moments that he's completely lost. And I get it. You're not playing a hybrid triple option system in the NFL a whole lot, but there are just a few portions of that, like a little bit of stiffness with seeing things, understanding things, changing directions, getting there that I have mild concerns about. And then also just the need, I guess, was another small question.
Yeah. It for me, it was medicals with him. And you're right. It's the see ball, get ball for him can be a little bit slow at times. And you hope that gets better with exposure and with reps. I will say one thing that I know that I do I give credit to teams who are good at developing. So when they take a player, and I think Philadelphia is great at developing guys in the front seven on defense, but great at developing offensive linemen. So when they draft a player like Campbell, it makes you feel a little bit better about it. There are teams that are on the flip side of that who, aren't good at developing, and they draft a player and you think, oh, great. That poor guy. Hopefully they get someone new in there to help him out.
Absolutely. Matt, thank you so much for joining us, man. I know you've been slammed the last couple of days. You have to be exhausted, but you had made time for us, and we're greatly appreciative of it. You're great at what you do, and we look forward to having you back.
I appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Matt Miller of ESPN joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Great stuff there, talking draft. And it's a good point about Philadelphia, too, because I'll tell you this. Like getting Cam Williams out of Texas in the 6th, 31st pick in the 6th, the overall ability in a 6'6", 320-pound frame is there. Like he's got some technique and fundamentals to clean up, but if you're talking about bringing in a tackle that you want to just see if you can get him right, and if you can get him right, can be big time, like they got that guy in the 6th round. Don't know if he's going to turn out or pan out, but like he and then you get Kyle McCord in the 6th also. It just Eagles doing Eagles things, man. That's the way it is for a lot of the league. We will continue a little bit of draft conversation when we come back next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, in UFL action over the weekend, pretty big surprise there as Memphis gets their first win of the season, knocks off Birmingham 24-20. Memphis 1-4, Birmingham 3-2. Logjam of 3-2 teams now in the UFL. Michigan goes down to St. Louis. Both those teams 3-2. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch that one Saturday night. That was an awesome game.
I caught some of it, yeah.
That was an awesome game.
That was intense.
Just back and forth, big plays, big moments. Akeem Butler, a couple of big plays. Like Michigan, quarterback play was tremendous, and you didn't even have to get – I mean, the one time Danny Etling goes in the game, it didn't go well. DC takes down Arlington 37-33. DC now the best record in the league at 4-1. Arlington 3-2 as well. Houston, and maybe I don't know, Memphis over Birmingham, big surprise, but Houston doing what they did to San Antonio, who's now 1-4, 27-3, had to also be a big surprise because it looked like San Antonio was starting to figure things out. And they're apparently not. That was discombobulated. It was not a great showing from the Brahmas in their home debut. Also weird that they're getting their home debut this late in the season, but Final Four has a little something to do with that as well.
Okay. That rodeo, man.
Yeah, rodeo, and then they got Fiesta this week. I feel like I've been to Fiesta in San Antonio for 4 straight years.
Do you eat the churros when you go?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's in and out, man.
Okay.
It is in and then out. Also, I need to know from a San Antonian, why do we feel the need to drag race around the Riverwalk area at all hours of the day? Just all the Dodge Prowlers and everything with like the engines revving up. Like why do we need to do this? Like the glass packs or whatever it is that gets the motors really loud. Like, why are we doing this? 8 a.m, midnight, 3 a.m, 4 p.m, just nonstop, just gunning it through there.
Are those worse humans than the all caps lock people?
No, I'm not saying that they're bad people. I just don't know why we were.
Kind of feels like it. To drag race at 8 a.m, that feels like you're a bad person.
Like, let me ask you a serious question though. When you're going through, the only other place worse than Ipsa Strip in Tuscaloosa, all hours of the day, like all hours of it doesn't matter when. Like, you're gonna get it. You stay at that little. It's not a courtyard, but it's a new thing by Marriott right there on the strip, like a mile from the interstate. You stay there, you will hear it nonstop. But the Riverwalk area is different because you're never getting over 15 miles an hour. No. There's too many people. It's too congested. So when you do this, what's the payoff? Like if you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s and you walk around with your shirt off, like I can see what the payoff is there. Correct. Like I get it.
Yeah.
Like if you're rich and you walk around in like Gucci loafers and a Louis Vuitton belt and like all this, you have your like Ferrari sunglasses, like, okay, there could be a potential payoff there. Like when you're driving through the Riverwalk area of San Antonio at 8 miles an hour and you're revving your engine and it sounds literally like Talladega's in town, what's the benefit? What's the end result that is a net positive for you right there?
That's screaming, look at me, but everyone's looking at you in annoyance.
There's too much other stuff to look at.
Yeah.
There's people on scooters. There's food trucks. There's flowers hanging from everywhere because it's Fiesta. People are trying to walk to the river. There's pedestrians all over the place.
Got gondolas.
No one's looking at you.
Yeah.
And if they do, because you have 68-inch rims that light up, you're gone in 2 seconds. And there's another drag racing motorcycle coming through. Or there's another truck with a 48-inch lift kit coming next with light up rims and hologram lights underneath, whatever the hell.
That's a Damien lift kit. That's
what are we doing? If that's your thing, it's your thing. Cool. I'm not mad at you for it, but I just like the whole revving the engine in a slow moving area. I need answers on. And I realize, listen, I'm old and white, and I guess I just don't get it. I understand. I have kids. I'm married. But, like, I got to have one person tell me, nah, dog, when this happens, you get this. Just one person tell me.
And if you use the word Riz, I'm fighting you. No.
And then now the new lights on the vehicles, too. The LED lights in the cabin.
Yeah.
Now, I get that because, like, you won't be able to see who you are.
Of course.
But the LED lights around the rims and then all underneath the truck. I need help. We'll be back. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Don't forget about our friends at Train. Weather can be unpredictable this time of year. You need the reliability of a Train. Voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. Right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Train home comfort systems. Find out more at Train.com. It's hard to stop a Train. Bad box scores of the day quickly. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to this or not. Half of the NBA playoffs have been a bad box score.
Oh, very much so.
Cleveland takes down Miami yesterday, 138-83.
It was, ugh.
Go back to Sunday. The Pacers took out the Bucks 129-103. We're not done. Saturday, Cleveland smashes the Heat again, 124-87. What is happening? In the NBA playoffs, it has been a literal bad box score almost every night. The Clippers beat the Nuggets on Thursday night, 117-83. You don't get a lot of 30-point wins in the NBA.
In the playoffs.
It literally feels like certain teams have said, tonight's not our night, so we'll wait until we get back home. Except for Miami, who's been blown out pretty much every night.
That Cleveland game, the one you mentioned, was 72-33 at half.
Unbelievable. 121-112 on Wednesday. Cleveland knocked off Miami. It has almost every night been a complete blowout.
That's gross.
OKC knocked off Memphis 118-99 last week. How about Oklahoma City over Memphis last weekend, 131-80? That's a 51-point win in a professional game. In a postseason professional game.
Of all things, yeah. Uh-huh.
Cleveland also knocked off Miami the game before that, 121-100. I need to go get the combined score of that series. You also had the Pacers over the Bucks, 117-98 last weekend. The Timberwolves took out the Lakers, 117-95. Everyone has been an absolute blowout winner. Every single one. Bad box score of the day has been living through half of the NBA playoffs. All right. Appreciate David Hale joining us, Matt Miller joining us, Greg back tomorrow morning. We'll talk more NFL draft. We got a lot to talk about with the transfer portal. Alabama and Auburn have gotten some players. Auburn's lost a few players. We'll discuss those and more. 7 to 10 a.m. 3-man front, however, coming at you next.